Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the first edition of Blue Otter League Otter Talk for the Platinum Division. I am your host tonight, Chong Selmo. I have three guests with me, and I'm excited to kick off the Plat League. Before we introduce yourselves, I want you guys to name who you are, what org you're playing for, and a hot take you have for the season going in, and we'll go down the line, starting with you, Godson.
I'm affiliated with Monkey's Knight this split. I play the bot lane, and my hot take for this split would be that Killer Fox is the best support in the league, in NA actually.
All right. Next up, could be either one of you, Ziggy or Panda, whoever wants to go first.
I'll bite the bullet. I'm Trash Panda. I'm playing support for Conduit Flux, and I don't think Conduit Flux wins a single game this entire split.
All right, bold take there. And then our last guest.
I'm Ziggy. I play for TPO, and I definitely don't think Alfie's defending anything this split.
Oh, all right. Already shots fired at both Killer Fox and Alf at the start of the split. Can't say I'm surprised all that, honestly. But thank you guys so much for being my first victims. I mean, guests for this first
Wouldn't have
season
it
of
any other
Blue
way.
Otter Talk. Yeah. But we're going to just go ahead here and we're going to look at our predictions going into tonight, starting with I believe this is the Zon division. No, sorry, I'm crazy. It's the Pilt Over division that we'll be starting with. Across the board, it looks like we're pretty agreeable on most of this stuff, but looking at these predictions, I do want to start here on our first match between Monkey's Knight and Monkey Constructions with Godson, who has predicted his own team to lose here. Godson, why are you guys going to lose tonight?
I mean, I was playing scrims yesterday, and I was looking around the map, and I was gapped everywhere, except the ADC role, of course, and I think it's going to continue here, but the most important part is betting against myself. I think it'll put my team, instead of like egoing themselves, it'll provide them not reassurance, I don't know the word for it, but you get what I mean. It helps my team lock in, and that's why I did it.
Okay. As someone who has played with you before, I can agree about getting gapped in the 80 carry department.
Okay.
But moving on here, I want to jump over to Ziggy. You have Monkey's Knights beating Monkey Constructions. Why do you think Knights are going to be able to come out on top in this matchup?
I just think that the concrete's just too big. I think it's too heavy for Godson to lift. I think he's gonna get crushed by it. And we'll see.
You have Knights winning.
You have Knights winning.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh,
Yeah,
he's on the other
yeah.
I'm on the other side. Whoops. I don't know. Godson's just gonna do his thing.
All right.
Godson always win.
All right. Godson breaks the concrete tonight. You heard it here. And then Panda, you're also in agreement with me about Monkey Knights winning this one. So why do you think Knights can win this matchup against Concrete? I mean, Construction. Oh my God. Yeah, against Ivar
Concrete
only.
against
Just-
Concrete.
Just
Well, I mean,
against
if
Ivar.
it's just against Concrete, 5 versus 1 is pretty good odds for his team. No, I think they're just I think Monkey Knights is one of the favorites for the whole tournament coming into it. Just like looking up and down the sheet. I mean, I think I said 2-1 in my predictions, and I think Construction is also a good-ish team, too. But like, I think Monkey Knights and like a couple other teams are like favorites to win tournament at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that fact. I did have the Monkeys Knights as my number 2 ranked team in my like preseason power rankings. Basically, I do think as a whole, I think the Knights roster is constructed very well. They have a lot of good pieces, some returning names from last split, so I think they'll all perform very well here. But we'll jump into our next series of Conduit Crash Out versus Maelstrom Esports, or as the doc says, Maelstrom Esports. But we all are in agreement on Conduit winning, so I just want to go in maybe more in depth about why Maelstrom might be able to actually upset in this one and what makes Conduit like the favorites here. I'll start in reverse order. I'll jump up to Panda first on this one. So why do you think Conduit is so favored in this matchup?
They've got returning names, Cyclone and Glada a new role. I mean, Brother Hedge might be the reason this team loses the series, but like I think there's just so much strength around the rest of this map too. I think Crash Outs is a really good team as well coming into it. Partially because I don't know who this Maelstrom team is. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, very, very fair. A lot of new faces on Maelstrom this season. The only player I know is their support, but that was really it when I was looking at this roster. But moving over to Ziggy, why are you favoring Conduit in this matchup specifically?
Yeah, it's like pretty much the same. It's a bunch of no names. I think the only one that I really actually know on Maelstrom is 40, I believe. I think I played in LXC Draft League with him. And he's all right. He's definitely one of the top half mids, so I think he'll be fine. But the rest of them, I have no idea who the hell they are. And I mean, crash shots, like it's either they're gonna crash out or they're gonna go forward. So
All right, very fair, very fair. And now, Godson, you also have predicted Conduit here. Why is that?
Like everyone said, I think Maelstrom is a bit of an anomaly, but having played with Cyclone, I know that he has a lot of leadership capabilities. And there's a specific pick to where I think if he gets a favorable matchup on it, obviously I'm not gonna leak the pick, but I think he'll just run the game, and I think it will stop there.
All right, I'm in agreement on all of this. I also did predict Conduit in this one. I do think this team is very solid. I think Panda brought up a good point of the biggest question mark anomaly on this Conduit roster is Brother Hedge moving into the support role. Definitely going to be interesting, especially playing with the likes of Slappy and Glada. I think this team might have named themselves Crash Out because Hedge is going to make them crash out every single game if he does decide to run it down. But overall, I do think it's a very solid roster. I'm pretty high on them coming into the season, so really curious to see how they show up. I'm actually going to skip our stream match here. We'll talk about that after this last one, which is the High Council versus TPO Reformed. And I'm going to actually start with one of the players playing in the series. I'm going to start with you, Ziggy. You predicted yourself to win this one. So why do you think you guys are so favored in this matchup?
I don't know, because I'm on the team. I'm role swapped, so at this point it's house money. We're just playing with house money. I think me and Paige are gonna do quite well in the bot lane for the rest of the league. As well as like the rest of our team, if we can get in sync and start rolling through things, we can definitely make some noise. As far as against the High Council, they're a bunch of really nobodies that no one really knows too. Like I think they've scrimmed quite a lot of different people, but no one really knows them. Like they're not a really big thing somewhere, so we'll see. I mean, I only predicted a 2-1, so it's possible that it just goes either way.
All right, fair enough. So now let's go to Godson here. You also predicted TPO Reform to take the win in this one. Are you kind of in agreement with what Ziggy was saying about this matchup?
I think I'm pretty in agreement. I think Poodle is quite underrated as support. I'm pretty sure High Council will beat Metashift, but if you're looking at their rosters, you'll see that everyone except their jungle has THC in their username. So I think that's where they're gonna fall off. They don't really have the team synergy because four of them have THC and then one doesn't. I think there's something there that can be exploited.
All right, kind of the odd man out situation there. And now, lastly, Panda, you are also a TPO Reformed believer. Are you kind of just in agreement with the whole desk of High Council is kind of just unknown and we're not sure what to expect from them this season?
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Is this like a grad team
I
or is
believe so. When I was looking at like
uh,
their like solo queue ranks, a lot of them were in gold and like not saying like they can't like make an upset happen, but like
right?
it looks really hard. But like especially with like if you're just going off solo queue, you never know what comp play is. It's so different from solo queue. So maybe they can shock everybody and make something happen. But I have them pretty low in my power ranks. Pretty sure I put them last because I'm just not sure who they are. And going off solo queue is where I got that idea from.
Yeah, chance to make some noise week one, but yeah, I need to see him play before I have a strong opinion on him.
All right. So now we're gonna hop back a little bit here and look at our stream matchup tonight, which is SG Proton versus Imperial Gaming or IG. Everybody here has voted for SG Proton except for Ziggy, so we'll save him for last. And I'll start with you again, Panda. You got SG Proton winning. Why do you have them over Imperial Gaming in this series?
I mean IG is good. We just played them in we played some of this roster in quarters for Titan, and I think they're good, but like SG Proton, I look down top to bot. This is one of the best constructed rosters in the entire league. I mean, good top laner, good jungler, good mid laner, strong bot lane. Like I think they can control the game. I mean, there's some picks that can come out of IG that you could look out for that could turn the tides of the game. But for the most part, I think that G Proton should be favored in this matchup.
All
99%
right.
of the time.
Yeah, all right. So now, Godson, you're also an SG Proton believer. Why is that going up against Imperial Gaming here tonight?
I'm a huge Al fan, but I think SG Proton quite literally has better players in every role. Maybe support is a bit iffy, but I feel like in every role they're like SG Proton has a player that is like almost like 2 times better than the opposing player.
All right. All right. Yeah, Alf really assembled the Avengers here this time to try to get him over that playoff hump that he's been having the last 3 seasons here in Blue Otter League. Myself included, I was a reason for one of those. But let's go to the only disbeliever here in Ziggy. So Ziggy, you got Imperial Gaming here tonight, and I'm really curious why you're doing that. Is it just that you're an Alf Yomi and rest of the roster hater, or are you just an IG truther?
Oh hell no! Like Yomi's good, man. Yomi, he's gonna probably knock me over the head when we lane against him. But no, so I went straight to the source. I went to Azure and Mr. Paradigm himself, and I was like, "Yo, what's happening in your game?" And they said 2-0, hands down. We're smacking Alfie. And I was like, "All right, bet. That's what we're doing."
All right, so shots fired with the insider information. Azure and Paradigm calling their shots, saying they're going to wreck Alf in the mid lane. I mean, I put SG. People, have said I'm biased in the past. If anybody got a taste of that in the premiere Gen chat, was a lot of fun. But I agree with like SG being one of the better rosters constructed. Like Fenbach is really solid in the top lane, has always been really good, and the rest of the roster has just been constructed really well around Alf trying to get that BOL championship that has evaded him for a while. But regardless, we'll have to watch how that one does play out on stream tonight. So we're going to jump over to our other division. We're going to be looking at our Zon predictions here. And I know we got some spicy takes coming in for this one, so I'm really curious to see how we all actually do line up here. All right, it looks like we have a little bit of prediction issues here, but we'll just start with what we can see in the Conduit Civil War. We have Conduit Kraken going against Conduit Flux, and I want to start with Panda on this one. You have Conduit Kraken beating your team of Conduit Flux. Why is that?
I die 10 times a game against Raven. I don't know what it is. Every time we scrimmed Kraken, and I got hunted for like 3 straight games. It was like I'm pretty sure I died 14 times one game. So it's doomed. It's Jover. I'm gonna be the dirtiest feeder you've ever seen in your entire life tonight. Stonks on Kraken.
All right, stonks on Kraken indeed. Speaking of Raven, I did put Raven and Chrome Malone as my number one in each of their roles for my player power rankings. I do think Kraken has like the best bot lane in the whole league, so maybe people can prove that wrong tonight. But going over to the rest of my guests here, we got Ziggy and Godson both predicting the Conduit Flux are gonna get the win here tonight, and I'm gonna start with Ziggy. Why do you have Flux beating Conduit Kraken here?
Honestly, I just think that Kraken is pretty much just who is it? Hold on, crash outs. I think Kraken is literally just crash outs, and it's all about the support. I think Billy's gonna be the weak point too. I'm not sure who Rib is, to be honest, so maybe it's gonna be him. But
Oh no.
heck Billy,
You don't-
heck Hedge.
You don't know.
No, I don't know who he is. It's probably my fault.
Billy's not starting on this team.
Yeah, Billy does not actually.
It's
start
Rib,
the
Billy
Conduit
is
Silent
Kraken.
Gamer,
not?
Chrome Alone, and Raven bot lane.
Yeah.
Oh, so Bully didn't update everything. Good.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So,
No, Billy Willard is in the sub role. I'm
oh,
looking
he's
at
in the
it right
sub
now.
role now.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Billy's
Well,
not on this team.
I don't know. At this point, it's the conduit people. They're always going to put a good team no matter what. It could still be like crash outs. Who the hell knows at this point?
All right. Let's move on to Godson. You also have Conduit Flux here over Conduit Kraken. Is it because you're a Trash Panda truther, or is there another reason why you got Conduit Flux getting the win here tonight?
I mean, I might be a trash panda truther, but I think what gives Flux the edge here is that they've been playing for quite a while together, and the only role that has changed is top lane, and that's like a pretty secluded role. So like looking at the rest of the team, they've been playing together for like 3 to 4 months now, in comparison to Kraken, who probably just started playing consistent scrims for like a month now, and with that you already have like a lot of leadership built in and a lot of like win cons assessed. So I think that will give Flux the edge.
Who was the previous top laner for Flux? Wasn't it
Fenbach.
Fenbach?
It was
Fenbach.
Fenbach,
Yeah, I don't. I think Dougie's just as good. Like, I I think it's just a side grade more than anything. So like, they're just gonna keep going.
All right. Definitely going to
Okay.
be an interesting series tonight. I'm really curious to see how both these teams do. If you know, Crow can get one of her two mains, she can be very impactful in the game, but knowing Panda probably won't let that one happen, but we'll have to see how that does play out. We're going to just jump down to the next series that is visible on the screen to make it easier for everybody watching at home of Contingent Purple versus Eclipse Valkyries. I'll be honest, I don't know these players. That's why I just took a random shot in the dark and guessed Contingent, and I'm the only one wrong here. So hopefully I can get some more insight from my guests here of why Eclipse Valkyries is going to win this series. And I'll start with you, Ziggy. You got Eclipse Valkyries taking this one. Why is that?
Oh, I was definitely with the Sheeples on this one. Everyone said that they're the team in LXC that's like the #1 team in Big and Bad, and Contingent just a bunch of nobodies. So if people seem to know who they are, then I'm gonna go with the group on that one.
All right. So going with what the people are saying, hopefully that does pay dividends, and hopefully Eclipse Valkyries is that team that maybe is kind of a dark horse and people should be worried about. But going over to Godson here, you're also voting for Eclipse Valkyries. Are you kind of in agreement here with Ziggy, or is there another reason? Got some insider information that we don't know about?
I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Eclipse Valkyries is NLE Choppas, and NLE Choppas is like a team that I've scrimmed against on across 3 different teams. And obviously I'm not gonna leak the details, but they've given me rough matches like all across um those scrims, and I feel like since they've played together, it's just like the Flux thing. They played together a lot. I think they have really strong potential in the bot lane and in the jungle. Very strong bruiser picks, and I think that'll carry them through the series.
All right. And then Panda, last but not least, also an Eclipse Valkyrie voter for. Why is that?
What Ziggy and Godson said.
Okay. So just going with what word of mouth is, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's valid when you get 2 new teams to a scene. Not many people know them, so it's kind of just like go by word of mouth for week 1 and see what's true and what isn't come the following week. So very valid. You know, maybe I'll be the only one right. Maybe Contingent Purple can shock people, or Eclipse Valerie is just them and can get that win. But we'll jump to another series here. Sadly, it is not visible on the screen for all our viewers at home. It is another Civil War. It is Monkeys Sharks going up against Monkeys Inc. here tonight. And we have all voted for Monkeys Inc. getting the win here. And starting with Panda, why is Monkeys Inc. going to be getting the win over their sister team of Monkey Sharks?
So there's a name on Monkey Sharks that is a role swap out of place, and I think that, I don't know, the jungle swap for Penguin might work out. We'll see, but I think Grim to Fire and Fox Step Bro will do really well bot lane, and then I mean you have Feathers top lane. It's that's the most stable weak side top lane, or one of the most stable weak side top lanes that I know. So I think they'll do pretty well.
Okay, and then looking at Ziggy here, you're also going for Monkeys Inc. over Monkey Shark. Why is that?
I'm pretty sure Sharks is just gonna get they're just gonna get comp ruled. Don't they have an LEC player on their team?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The GOAT Yukino coming to play in Blue Otter Platinum League.
Yeah. So they're just gonna automatically get FF, no?
All
But
right.
nah, for real, I think Inc has just got more names that are just more stable, more just better in their positions, and I think that the swap for Penguin, we'll see. I've heard some insider things on that it's going pretty well, but we'll see how it actually happens on the Rift, because on the stage it's a lot different than what it is in scrims.
All right, fair enough. And now, Godson, you're also a Monkeys Inc. believer. Are you in agreement with our guests here, or do you have some more information to put out there?
Yeah, I think a lot of the teams that have stuck together, like 3 out of the 4 of them, are in Group B. So I think that gives them the edge. Also, as Panda said, I think the role swap might be helpful or not helpful. It kind of goes both ways, I think, tonight, and we'll see here tonight. But obviously Charlie XD Rocker is a very strong jungle, and I don't think I think there's too big of a gap for your first time you're going against like Goliath. When you're first starting to play jungle, I think it'll be quite hard for Penguin, but I hope he pulls through.
All right. Yeah, I also did vote for Monkeys Inc. It's also interesting because they have a role swap themselves of Wheeze going from top lane, I believe, going to play mid lane now. So I'm curious to see how that one's going to go, especially if he's playing against an LEC mid laner in Yukino. Could be a really tough time for your first game
True.
of role swap. So, as we're saying, Pink Penguin's got a tough matchup. I think Wheeze has a much harder one. So definitely going to be curious how that one
Facts.
does play out.
Valid
But
points.
yeah, that's why they pay me the big bucks here.
Well, you
But
get paid?
sadly, Bully has to pay me. He pays me Taco Bell, and that's about it. But in our last matchup tonight, we have a lot of people's preseason favorites to win it all of Dorado Lambda going up against TPO Redacted, and we have all voted for Conduit Dorado Lambda. You know what? Speaking of Conduit, we'll just start with Panda on this one. Going for Dorado Lambda. Why are you going with them over TPO Redacted?
This team is scary. I don't want to play against Dorado. I'm scared. Mom, don't make me play against them. Nah, like, I mean, you have Ultimice, who's like the quintessential like carry top laner. Efron's a very stable carry mid laner. You got Sunrise jungle. You got a solid bot lane. I mean, this team is set up for success. Ultimice might just like 1v9 this series tonight. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm pretty sure there is going to be a sub for tonight for them as well, from what I was hearing.
Is
Ultimice-
a sub for Dorado in the top lane.
Ultimice
What
is not starting.
Why? What?
Efron has told
Dang.
me Ultimice is not playing in week number 1. It will actually be
Barolo.
Barolo playing up in top lane for week number 1.
Man,
for
why
Dorado Lambda.
y'all get this insider information and you don't tell me?
Listen,
Man.
we still are going with Dorado.
I mean, yeah,
It's
no,
fine.
Dorado's wins the series still. But
Although
like,
I do highly think that they should definitely have Killer Fox top over Barolo. I'm sorry, Barolo, but I think Fox is just the better top.
All right, fair enough. So Ziggy, do you have more insight on this information? Sorry, on the series of TPO Redacted being on the sister team to them, going up against Dorado Lambda.
Yes, they also have a sub tonight as well. Lord JK is going to be playing mid for them tonight instead of I think it's Cutie now. I don't know. Her name's Quinn. But she's not going to be here tonight, so Lord JK will be playing. And
why does everybody else know about these substitutions and I don't know Jack?
Because
Yeah,
Ziggy plays for the
I don't
sister
know.
team, dude. He just gets that information.
I don't know. I will like them told things. Who knows, man? I don't know.
Yeah, I understand. Everybody fucking hates me. Wait, shit.
It's because you're old, man. They don't want to ruin your brain power that you have left.
But I just think, like, yeah, it was already previously said, I think Dorado's just the odds-on favorite to win, unfortunately. We can all probably just go ahead and start packing up and go into the Bahamas, get our golf rounds in, start practicing, you know?
Cancun on 3.
Yeah, Cancun on 3. And speaking of somebody who might be visiting Cancun come playoff time, Godson, any more information to add for this TPO Redacted versus Dorado series?
I think if we like get rid of the subs, fuck it, we just make it a 3v3 match. I think Dorado still has the edge there. I think the only way that Redacted take a game is if either they get underestimated too much, or if Pelly, I've heard a lot of good things about him. Not a lot of bad things in comparison to his mental side, but I think if he's really locked in, we see like a Kha'Zix 20-0 game, and he just goes crazy. But
Okay.
Killer Fox is the best, so
As much as I'm a sister team with them, we haven't even scrimmed. They want to scrim, but we can't find the right times. But I have heard really good things about Pelly. That he's definitely in there, like somewhere with Finny, and they're getting things ready.
All right. Yeah, Pelly said that he should be in the top 5 jungle for the season, and I just don't know balls. So maybe he will prove me wrong tonight. But something about the Dorado team overall that I'm really interested about, that I wrote in the content, is that if they're able to create another Islamic Samurai clone in Sunrise who can like play both jungle and support effectively in a comp setting. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see Sunrise in the jungle here tonight. With like so many role swaps happening in the season, definitely going to be interesting to keep your eyes on those going forward. But with that, I think we're going to be starting to wrap up here tonight. I'm going to let you guys get some few shout outs here before we call it here so you guys can get back to your teams and get ready for the series that we have on hand. I'll start with you, Godson. Anybody you want to shout out or anything you want to add here at the end?
I think the only person deserving of a shout out is my father, Killer Fox, the best support, arguably, not even arguably, best support hands down. Who's Carrier? Who's give me some other support, guys.
Bro can name one support. Bro
Oh
can
my
name one
God.
support.
Name a support challenge. Like, is that where we're at?
Killer
At this
Fox.
point?
Killer Fox is the best player I know. Best player.
Isn't the quote he's not even the best support on his team?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
No. I think Killer Fox has something to prove. Best support, hands down. Super good player, super good mental, super good comms. He's just perfect. He's beautiful as well.
All right. Ziggy, any shout outs you want to give out here before we go?
Heck Billy and Heck Hedge.
All right. A classic Heck Billy, Heck Head shout out. And last but not least, we got Trash Panda. Get your shout outs in.
He stole mine.
The fuck nerd.
Shout out to Crow because I've been sending her the same Pike gif like every hour and a half for the last like 2.5 days. So, and she isn't mental booming yet, so I think it's not working, which I need to reevaluate my tactics.
Yeah, it might be doomed for you guys if you can't mental diff Crow at the start of the game.
Yeah, you're right. I can't.
All right.
Rock solid mental.
All right. I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight, being part of the first Auto Talk for the Platinum Division starting here this season. We're going to head to a break, and in about 15 minutes, we'll be coming back for the first stream match here of Imperial Gaming going up against SG Proton. Stick around, and we'll see you all soon.
redemption on the other side. We're standing and we're burning bright. Alright, 'cause we are titans. Our future knows not your pain. Our past knows only victory. So we still remain. And we're
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to week 1, game 1 here of Blue Otter League Platinum Division. I am Chung Somo, and tonight I'm joined by a last-minute guest and co-caster here, Rue. How we doing tonight?
I am good. It is currently 1 a.m., but I am so here for this series today, working on the Blue Otter League. My first time here. Very happy to be here, and hopefully it will be the first of many. Tonight's matchup going down between SG Proton and Imperial Gaming. What do we make of this matchup before we really get into things?
Yeah, so for me doing all of this content and everything, I have SG Proton as my number 1 overall team here coming into the season. So I'm heavily favored towards them winning this matchup. But Imperial Gaming can shock some people. They got a couple of old names coming back in Paragandom Shift, who I believe won season 1 of Blue Otter League. And then they also got Swaggy P back, who is an old head jungler from what I've been told. So really interested to see how they come back. And IG, a familiar face from last season, had a decent, actually really solid regular season, but fell short in the playoffs. But coming back with Noble Bark and both Azure Fire, definitely going to be interesting to see how they shape up with some of these new names on their roster. But it's definitely going to be a really interesting matchup. I'm really excited for this one.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Looking at both of these teams, on paper, pretty evenly matched. A lot of the time in leagues where the elo is fixed, it comes down to how teams want to play together, how well they do mesh together. So I am so interested to see how these teams will play as a team. That is the most important part coming into this. There is no massive outstanding player that is anywhere higher or lower than anyone else. It is just a bunch of people who want to play together, who will have to play together to get the win today.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Jumping right here into pick and ban quickly already. Imperial Gaming focusing on that Skarner, and then also banning Nautilus away from Draconical, one of his better supports, and Jinx away from Yomi. Not really surprised to see that one. While SG Proton not letting Azure Fire get his Vayne, who used to play in the mid lane last season with some of those Vayne games. And then the interesting first pick here by Imperial Gaming is first picking
Straight
that
out.
Cassiopeia, which is a takeaway from Alf here that is his main champion. And with this being a full Fearless League, that means Alf won't even have access to that in Game 2. And a quick snap response with a Cog Lulu here. So I know the players on SG quite well. Hopefully Yomi can perform on this one and doesn't have me playing the support Lulu. He has Draconical playing this, who does perform rather well on this Enchanter support too. So really curious to see how they shape the rest of this draft around that hypercarry Kog'Maw, who will need a lot of peel because he has no innate escape utility himself without that flash summoner spell.
Absolutely true, but still one hell of a bot lane to be facing up against. Looks like it's going to be matched by Rel Gragas, taking a little bit of top side, a little bit of bot side, getting yourself a guaranteed engage support, which is always very useful into those kind of enchanter matchups. But I am now fascinated. What are they going to do to try and cut down on this AD pool? You're playing into a Cogmore. It's not going to be easy no matter what you do, especially Cogmore Lulu is such an oppressive lane, even with the Lulu nerf that came in earlier yesterday for me, today for you.
Yeah.
Now, pairing up with Talia as well, this bot side is looking pretty damn feisty.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Lulu is still one of the better supports, even with those nerfs coming in. She just has so much utility and can always be effective for the team. But I do like how IG is approaching this draft once that Kog'Maw is locked in, getting more of these ultimates and engage options that make it very hard for Kog'Maw to play the game if he isn't spacing correctly. But then I do like that counter response by Alf picking up the Talia. Once you see the Rel and Gragas, the E from Talia is going to be very impactful, making sure they can't go those engage options they want. And, you know, Alf is recently coming off that Titan Championship on Monday, so had a good Talia game in that one. Hopefully he can replicate that here in this first game for Blue Otter League. But then the band's coming through, focusing more on that 80 carry pool is SG Proton, having picked up theirs already, not letting some of the stronger ones go through, as is the Ashe, and possibly I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe a Varus ban come out from them as well, while IG is looking to ban away the Diana, but SG chooses to go for the Jarvan,
I like
not
that.
giving them more engage options.
Yeah, and especially engage options that are so potent into your immobile ADC. You've already locked in your Kog'Maw. You know exactly what your bot lane is going to look like. Denying that as an option, especially before you start team fighting, before that Unraveled Earth gets underneath his feet, he can really dominate over that Kog'Maw in the 1v1, the Cataclysm, the Thunderdome, as I like to call it. And looking up towards the jungle, it appears a Mumu, likely the hover for now, maybe even the pig. It looks like it has been locked in. Yes, it has. Interesting choice pairing AP with AP mid and jungle.
Yeah, and especially because you do have Kog'Maw, who does deal a good portion of AP damage himself, thanks to his W and ultimate as well. And basically all of Kog'Maw's abilities all deal that AP damage. So with having that Gragas in the top lane, can build more that tanky route and be able to stack magic resist items, which could be impactful for this game. But if we're also going off of Scrim Bucks, from what I heard is Titan Duff the other night kind of griefed the Scrim, not knowing what a Mumu did apparently. So hopefully he has learned what the Amumu does, but now we're getting a Lux lock in, so maybe IG is looking.
They're trying to match AP with AP. That is an insane pick coming in. The Lux, it would have been about the last thing I'd have expected. I'm assuming that's going bot lane. Definitely not support with when you have something like the Rel. So yeah, locked in APC Lux, Xin Zhao jungle, a little bit of AD coming through. That has to be a tank Gragas now. And heading over to the top lane of Proton, I'm looking towards some of these very solid AD bruisery type champs. Ambessa exists and is therefore strong. Things like the Aatrox, potentially the Jace, I really like here. Looks like instead you're going to go for the kind of tank that counters all of that magic damage coming in. The inbuilt magic shield, the Galio, is the choice for the top lane of SG Proton.
Yeah, and I mean, if the Xin Zhao doesn't get accelerated early, it will be very hard for IG to deal any impactful damage to Galio and Amumu, who can both stack these magic resist items, because if Xin Zhao does get put behind, he's one of these carry junglers, so just won't have a real impact on this game. But I think looking at these drafts overall, they're both very interesting, like really hard engage coming out from IG, but really good counter engage coming out of this SG Proton draft with that Curse of the Sad Mummy, Hero's Entrance. Even the Talia ult slowing down these team fights can be impactful. But if IG gets the team fight that they're looking for, it gets the go buttons with a nice like Gragas cask into a Petrifying Gaze out of this Cassiopeia, that can be so disruptive and destructive to what SG has drafted. It could be really difficult, and I really am going to be having my eyes on Yomi on this Kog'Maw and how he positions in these team fights, because if he's out of position even once in this game, he is just going to go down so fast and nothing's going to be really able to help him.
Yeah, that really is the key identifying feature in this matchup. Will this ADC stay alive? Right? There's so much damage from all sources coming in, especially things like the burst on the Lux. It is oppressive when you're an ADC. The second you step into range, that E is just going to tick you down in the learning phase, but later on in the game, it can delete about half your health bar. Suddenly, it's not a very fun position to be in. Doesn't really have to build many of these on-hit items, though, especially looking towards the lack of tanks on the other side. Blade of the Road King's still there. Rageblade probably as well. Maybe you just go them anyway because they are so good on Kog'Maw, on that kind of on-hit ADC, but it's not a fun matchup to be playing into. The range is definitely not in your favor until you hit level 6. The ooze starting to fall from the skies will help him out, but he's going to have to rely on the solid lane with his Lulu to help him. Interested to get your take on a Lux Rel lane. That is new to me, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of big if factor on the side of IG with Azure Fire playing mid last season, now role swapping to AD carry. He can also bust out these like APCs like Lux. I wouldn't be shocked if they also like in this draft had Cassiopeia go bottom lane. It's definitely interesting. Lux Rel, that's a lot of CC coming out in this bot lane, and if they layer their CC correctly, like you said, Lux can just one-shot this Kog'Maw or even this Lulu if either of them are out of position. So if S3 Proton is like out of position in the spot lane, this Lux Rel can do damage, but I don't think much is going to happen in the spot lane because Lux kind of does need like that first item, and Kog'Maw also going to want to scale up himself, get those 2 items, and be effective that way. So the Lux Rel definitely the biggest if factor I have in this game besides the Xin Zhao coming out on the side of Imperial Gaming. So I'm really curious to see if Azure Fire is going to be able to perform up to par on this Lux APC.
Yeah, it's another key swing point you pointed out, but I'm just wondering how they even play together in this bot lane, because it feels like the idea of Lux is so different from the idea of Rel. That's why a lot of time you can see things like the Lux support, especially paired with the more oppressive ADCs in the game. Caitlyn Lux is a tale as old as time, but it is always so potent because they're both great poke champs. They have very good synergy. This time, one poker, one engage. Your team fight is going to be impressive, don't get me wrong, but getting to that point in the game is going to be a challenge. And even when you get there, you have to get through things like the Galio, things like the Amumu, and that is basically all on Cassiopeia.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a lot of question marks on both sides of drafts. I assume this Rel is actually gonna not be bot lane for most of this game. I wouldn't expect to see this Rel just leaving lane every opportunity thanks to how powerful Lux's wave clear is. But we're gonna have to wait until we get on the Rift to see how this first game plays out here between IG and SG Proton. We are waiting for the in-game draft to finish with the spec delays, so we will be back in a couple of minutes. And we are on the Rift for our first game here between Imperial Gaming and SG Proton. Imperial Gaming going to be on the blue side and SG Proton on the red side. And Rue, it looks like we were both wrong. It is actually the Cassiopeia bot lane.
Yeah, the more thought that goes into it, the more it makes sense. There's no method by which the Lux and the Rel can really work together. It requires something with a lot more all-in potential. That's something that the Cassiopeia does possess, and it's gonna have to possess it when you're up against something like the Kog'Maw Lulu. So much damage, so much sustain, and so much shielding as well. Just to be blank, like the Lulu is so oppressive, especially Enchanter into engage. Looking at how that can impact the map will be a key part of this game. But looking across the rest, I think Fenbach on this Galio is just going to have the time of his life this game.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to actually take him down at any point in this game unless Swaggy P is up there and ahead to be able to do any impactful damage to Fenbach. But overall, I think it's going to be interesting to see how most of these team fights do play out, like we were talking about in the pregame and in the draft, just because of the engage options that come out of Imperial Gaming and the disengage options there for the side of SG Proton. And like I was saying before, my eyes are going to be on Yomi on this Kog'Maw. I was chatting about it a little bit in Twitch chat, saying, Yomi getting to play Kog'Maw is a little scary. Hasn't always been the most, best Kog'Maw around, but hey, he says he's a different man now, so maybe he will prove that now. But having a little bit of a rough time in this laning phase right now, down 8-3 CS, but I assume that will be able to be evened out throughout the rest of this laning phase.
Yeah. Forced to give up the level 2, will be handed over for nothing. Should be able to farm a lot of those under the tower, though. They are just a little bit over half on that one, but the rest of them will be farmable, so he will be able to equalize that pretty effectively. A couple CS down, though, since Azarex was able to perfectly farm those first couple of waves, and it's not even a guarantee anyone can do that, so very nice coming in very early on from the Cassiopeia, which is another thing. Kog'Maw not very used to playing up against things like the Cassio. It is a very different matchup from things that he's used to in some respects. In others, it's just a champ with a engaged support. There's not much different that you can really get. So some things he can take over, of course, but others he's going to have to adapt, especially playing up against Elena with TP as well.
Yeah, and like the biggest thing of this bot lane having to go to that level 2, it's a lot harder for Kog'Maw to farm under turret with Lulu as his support, because most of the time you just... Oh, never mind, we're getting some scrap on the top lane. Swaggy P is up here.
I mean, Fenbach has got an amazing trade onto Noble Bart, but he may be forced to go down here. The wind becomes lightning hit. Flash Q invested. Noble Bart claims the first blood. A little bit overzealous there for Fenbach, and it only cost the jungler smite on jungler flash on the other side. Meanwhile, the bot lane, absolute chaos has ensued. 1-for-1 is the trade. Azarex will fall. Yomi gets the kill, and unfortunately, it's Sid Bloodlin who picked up the kill on the Rel. That is not where you wanted that goal to go, and it kind of nullifies that early damage that was done. The Cassio was so far ahead from early laning phase, and it's instantly nullified, probably put the other way now.
Yeah, and just like that, we are starting off the Platinum League with a bang. 3 kills here in the first 4 minutes. The first blood did go over to Noble Bark on this Gragas, while a trade kill in the bot lane. Yomi goes down, but picks up the kill onto Azure, thanks to that Kog'Maw passive. But like you said, the kill went onto Sid Bloodline, which is not ideal, and considering that Azure had already invested his TP and his flash, and now Titan Duff is down here, he could look for something, but it looks like he's just going to channel that recall and maybe call it off. Not exactly sure where Swaggy P is at this moment, or even where Sid Bloodline is, and Draconical is so far away in base.
He's the only champion that hasn't pressed B yet this game, hasn't seen the fountain since minute 0, and unfortunately with the Rel in close attendance, he will be forced to back off that play. He still has his camps to go cry over, I guess, if he wants to, but he did get the double scuttle, so a good little jungle lead coming out early as the Xinjiao of Swaggy P is forced to look elsewhere. He has taken his Krugs the second time, but he hasn't found any other impact apart from, of course, that first blood in the top lane. Meanwhile, the Rel has roamed up to mid. Sid Bloodlin wants to atone for his sins. He failed to give his ADC the first kill of the bot lane, but instead he's looking to get a second one, and it will be Alf who is the target. He will fall eventually. Feat of Warfare heading over to Paradigm Shift, and now the Lulu who was caught out trying to help. The mid laner is just going to have to flash the wall. A flash used by mid, a flash used by support, and a pick headed over to this Lux early on.
Yeah, and Draconical luckily gets to keep his life there, having the flash, not using it in that 2v2 in the bot lane earlier. But now with Alf having no flash, it could be a lot more difficult in this mid lane, considering that this Lux still has a flash of their own. So if they do hit that flash light binding, they could just burst down Alf once they do hit that level 6.
There is the light binding. He hits 2 of them. The double root is absolutely beautiful Paradigm Shift, but he's out of mana, and he's going to have to flash the Seismic Shove as well. Alf on the perfect roam time, and the Dragon was claimed by Titan Duff, but he will pay for it with his life. Another kill headed over, or an early 1k gold lead, but the teleport came through from Noble Bark, a little bit overzealous on that. Fenback only walking down about halfway down the river. He'll be able to keep that push up in the top lane. He is gradually generating a lead even through his first blood.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not really liking how SG Proton is playing this early game. They have more scaling options there on a Galio, Talia, Cogwall, all kind of need to get towards those first, second items to be able to be super effective, while the likes of IG can fight on these early light items and stat lines. So just not respecting the stat difference at this point in the game, and not respecting that they are the scaling comp in this one. The later it goes, the better it is for SG Proton. So a couple of these early fights not really going super well for them, and they're looking to contest on these grubs again, but Fenbach is all the way in base, but luckily Titan just showing his face there is enough to push IG off of these first set of grubs here. But overall, the way IG has been playing this early map has been really good for them. Yes, they did lose that dragon, but they're up 4-1 in kills. They already got the feats of strength off the first 3 kills of the game. They are trying to stack those feats fast, and it looks like they are going to get the set of grubs with Alpha on that recall timer.
Yeah, and it is the early plays that we have to look for. When you're on so many mages, they have very odd power spikes compared to the more typical AD champions, especially in the bot lane. Cassio, in and of itself, just different that you have to play into. The Lux has such a spike on just a chapter. The Paradigm Shift already has that, plus a little bit extra. Both mid laners actually having that lost chapter, but it is difficult to play into. Seeing now Azarex a little bit caught, a little bit far forward, but he will only take a small trade, as Titan Duff is also down here, and Sid Bloodland has to be careful. Might even have to flash the one. No, he has to crash down. He's very, very safe, actually.
Yeah, and it was just a little overextension there by Azrax Fire, but at this point in the game, no real damage coming out from the bot lane of Draconical and Yomi. And Paradigm Shift, I apologize.
Paradigm, yeah.
Oh,
another seismic shove hits.
Yeah,
another cosmic binding, but he doesn't go for the ultimate. I'm shocked to see he's going for it now. Oh my god, he has 1 HP. No flash on the Lux though, so he will not even be able to look for the flash auto onto Alf, who will have to retreat, tail between his legs, as mid lane is headed the way of the Paradigm. Titan Duff is over here trying to equalize it for his mid laner. A little bit too little too late, but he will still clear up the farm, enable the recall to come in without losing any tower. Heading back over to top side now. Noble Bark really far pushed in, and no mana at all either. He's kind of stuck in top lane for quite a while.
Yeah, and this is the big issue with Greg, is you kind of need those abilities to wave clear, but he is on that tier, so stacking that up will be able to not really have mana issues once that is fully stacked up. But I mean, regardless of Fenbach
lose a wave here though.
First blood, he is up so much CS. Fenbach did die, but he's up about 10 CS right now, and it's going to be even more because it looks like Noble Bark just going to miss a whole wave here.
Yeah.
Titan Duff not knowing that he is sitting on a ward right now. And I think, you know, SG Proton has been doing a good job so far of slowing down the pace of this game, letting their champions scale up. Yomi isn't even on that first completed item. Nobody in the game is yet, but regardless of that, it looks like Swaggy has caught up on the jungle item of getting those marks down to get the empowered smites, but is still down CS, but has that gold bounty thanks to having 3 kill participations so far in this game. So Swaggy P in a really strong
Might even
spot.
look for another one. Forcing Alf out. They're gonna have a little bit of play around the Scuttle Crab. Swaggy P gonna think better of it in the end. Alf heads back to mid, and Titan Duff will take down the bottom crab, but yeah, you point out the jungle has really evened itself back out, and so close on that second back rather. for Swaggy, nearly on the Sunder Sky, a couple hundred gold away. Kind of brutal, if I'm honest. I hate taking that back myself. When you know you have nothing else to do, there's no kill present. You can't just force something to happen, otherwise you'll die anyway. You may as well press B, get a little bit stronger, but you now feel a little bit useless until he can find something. The bot lane has also recalled, so there's not even a gank option down bot.
Yeah, and Titan Duff is in a really weird situation right now because he did try for that early gank, not getting that early reset off like Swaggy P did. His camp rotations are very awkward right now because he wants to go clear his top side, but with Dragon spawning in 10 seconds, he's not even going to be able to get up there for at least another 2 to 3 minutes with this Dragon coming onto the Rift now. But it looks like we're going to be getting a contest here. Alpha is TPing back to mid wave, going to have to catch that before he does rotate because Paradigm is already pushing that one in while the rest of SG is looking for something. Titan Duff going to clear out the ward there. Draconical and Yomi could be in a bit of trouble now that Swaggy P is here.
And Deluxe has first push as well. First rotation down. Talia somehow able to get ahead already right the way down into the bottom lane. The flash Q from the course. Oh, the mummy misses. Titan Duff doesn't quite land the ultimate. Now he is forced to retreat. Sid hits the stun. The explosive cast is absolutely ginormous. Down goes that mummy, and now Fenbach stuck in the middle of everyone. Just going to have to heroic exit himself out as now a catch on the other side. Somehow the HP trade has favored SG Proton. They are winning this fight in the long play. They get the rel, and everyone else kind of has to run away. Until perhaps another seismic shove. This time not quite landing. Alf very strong on those so far this game, forcing multiple flashes. I would be shocked if they went for this Drake. I guess the Amumu is back up. Maybe they can. Xinjiao on the other side, very, very low. He's going to have to go farm some counts to gain some HP, and he might not be there in time. Swaggy P's going to come around. He is so low going for this. This is greedy as hell. Coming from the Xinjiao, he's waiting in the bot tri-brush, looking to potentially win becomes lightning overall, but there it goes. And he's just wasted about 30 seconds of time looking for something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and the biggest thing that happened in that whole passive play is that the side of IG used everything onto Titan Duff to try to pick up that kill once he did flash in and miss that Curse of the Sad Mummy. And because of that, Alpha and Yomi were basically untouched with Draconical in that backside of the fight, just firing out as much DPS as they could, getting the health bars low, and it ended up getting them to be able to pick up that counter kill onto Sid Bloodline and led them to getting their second dragon of the game. So well played by the side of SG to slow play that one after Titan Duff did go down, but it was also a really good initial engage out of the side of IG like we were talking about. They just have these go buttons that were effective for them. Titan Duff maybe a little too aggressive on looking for that play, but now looks like we're going to be getting another fight over these grubs here. Alf trying to recall, but realizes I cannot do that at this point now. Fenbach has first move, but Noble Bark is there and can look for the cutoff here onto Fenbach.
4v4 going to be coming in. The taunt only hits 2. Fenbach right in the thick of it. A massive ultimate comes through from Paradigm, but the huge damage goes the other way. In fact, Sid Bloodline will fall. The Arcane Comet gets a kill of its own, and now Noble Bark left alone. Basically 1v4. That is a very bold move. A beautiful taunt comes in once more. Fenbach gets even more value off of this, and a triple kill heads onto the Cogmore. The one thing for SG Proton that couldn't get strong has suddenly got strong, and now IG are in fear of this Cogmore. He has a Blade of the Ruin King on that back now. The second he goes back to base, he is instantly a massive threat after that humongous triple kill.
Yeah, and the big winner of that play was Yomi getting that roam over, and Azure Fire just sitting in the bot lane. He's going to pick up this turret for himself, I believe, unless Alf uses that ultimate to get in there to clear that wave, but it looks like he's just going to let this one go down, which means that that will be going first tower in favor of Imperial Gaming, but it is, yeah, you're correct, it is the feats of strength thanks to that. So, I mean, regardless of that, I think SG is fine with the passive play that happened because now you do have your Kog'Maw who is on these 4 kills thanks to his roam over and getting that triple kill up there. And, I mean, Fenbach was massive in that. Oh, Alf just dies in the bot lane.
Yeah, that's the thing that happens against Cassiopeia sometimes. Sid Bloodline not even needed for that one. Paradigm Shift gonna look for the fast push using his own ult. I don't know how that happened, but somehow, someway, Azarex finds the way to get a kill, And he is now in a very solid position of his own, already completed that Archangels very soon to transform into the full Seraph, as well as, of course, a Haunting Guise and another Amp Tome as well, close to a second Lightning Leandry. We get a fight in the mid lane instead. It is Paradigm Shift caught up way too far. A beautiful ult once more. Titan Duff knows his role, leaves the kill over to the ADC. Up now on the 5 kills already is Yomi, looking for maybe even more if Sidline overstays. Gonna be the mid lane taken over by the bot laners. Paradigm Shift sent out to the side lane after a little bit of an overextension.
Yeah, and Yomi so far has been playing this game very good, besides going down to that first kill in the bot lane. So this Kog'Maw Lulu combo is going to be very scary once these 5 full 5v5 team fights do roll around, thanks to him picking up all those kills. He is even on CS, and Azurfire did get that first turret gold, so is a little bit even in that like metric, but overall I do think Kog'Maw is going to be much stronger than this Cassiopeia if he gets to play these team fights the way he has been. And I'd be worried about Imperial Gaming. They need to find a way to get on the Xiaomi, maybe with that Noble Bark explosive cast, getting him pushed in and followed it up by the Petrifying Gaze, like I had mentioned previously, would be the play there. But you have Titan Duff and Fenbach there to be able to peel for this Kog'Maw, so he'll be in a safe spot if he positions well for most of this game. So hopefully SG can play these team fights out the way they have been and be effective that way, but can be scary if IG gets the right go buttons and gets it on the crucial targets that they're looking for. In the meantime, while these mid waves are being traded back and forth, Swaggy P is taking the Rift Herald while Alpha is taking bot lane turret tier 1 for himself. They're picking up that for the team. But Rift Herald is going to go over to the side of Imperial Gaming, looking to break open the map a little bit more, maybe drop that mid lane, get down that crucial tier 1 mid outer turret.
This is a big timing for mid tier 1 as well. They have 4 members over here. It's going to force the TP out from the Talia from spawn because of the threat of the Rift Herald. They don't even have to place it. They have already guaranteed themselves mid push, and as well with the dragon spawning in 10 seconds, they can leave it in mid lane. They can guarantee themselves even more push, even more turret damage. They can just go down to this Drake. It's something we see a lot, especially in the LCK. After they get that Rift Herald, they look for the play, and now Titan Duff is caught on the face check, but he isn't actually caught. Everyone somehow misses. The only person that connects is Swaggy P with the empowered auto from his Q. Now he will go over the wall. He goes in for the Q. Massive stun, but he doesn't do any damage. He gets killed for nothing. The rest of the team not there to back him up. And now it's a 5v4. They're still going to look to push on this because they are that strong right now. Yuumi on this ready to throw in King Spike. Swaggy P goes very deep with the Crescent Guard. He is forced away, and the HP trades are favoring SG Proton. After this, Swaggy P super low, not quite going to be connected on by the Talia. Sid Bloodline goes in deep. He is just a sacrifice. Fenbach is an absolute raid boss already on the 1 item of the Hollow Radiance, and it is instantly an awful place to be unless Paradigm Shift, not quite with the final sparks. Alf will survive for now. Still, massive damage coming in both sides, and they're going to look for the re-engage as well. The taunt mitigated by the root. A great root coming out once more. Paradigm Shift is trying to keep his team alive, but Alf is making sure that doesn't happen. Another kill goes over to the Talia. Noble Bark is stuck on about half a HP. There he goes, finally falling to Alf once more. A 2 remaining fight. That is one of the most drawn out fights of the year so far, and yet, in the long play, they lose early. Titan Duff went down for nothing once more, but they still get 3 kills in the long play.
Yeah, and I mean, Yomi played that phenomenally with his spacing without having flash. Went for that 1v1 on Azurfire, hugged the wall close enough where Paradigm Shift didn't hit that final spark onto him, which probably would have been the Kog'Maw's life, so was able to be turned around by the rest of SG Proton with that slow play. The Herald will charge onto the tier 1, not anybody riding it and not enough to take it down, but we're still going to get another fight with this dragon. I would love to see Titan Duff slow these plays down when he's looking for these engages. His team was too disconnected when he went for that Blast Cone Q combo and just, you know, ended up, like you said, going down for nothing. But now we're getting another fight around this dragon. Swaggy P in the area. Mid lane is being pushed here by IG.
Don't do it. Oh, okay.
He pushed him away.
Yeah, pushes him away with the seismic shove, and now it is a jungler caught a little bit too far. Hand in the cookie jar, Swaggy P falls. A beautiful binding and a double final spark. Massive damage already coming in on just the 1 item. If he had Storm Surge, may have even got the kill on Draconical, but now Titan Duff is over this wall. He doesn't have flash anymore, but he still has the overall ability, the Q with the stun. If they look for the dive, a very powerful play could ensue. They are 3v5. If he goes for this, gonna go in over the top, stun onto 3, a beautiful dive, but it's not gonna get the damage dealt. Azurex's Fire staying alive under the tower. Yomi just about getting peeled by the Galio. The tower will finally fall, but Yomi is super, super low. The Seismic Shell connects once more, but so does the Binding, but it doesn't matter in the end. The Amumu will fall in the long play, but another 2-for-1 and mid-tier 1 as well. Falling, the towers starting to fall now on the map, and it's headed the way of SG Proton.
Yeah, Titan Duff is for sure in all chat right now saying #worth after that play. Yeah, he does fall, but so many kills go over to the side of SG Proton. They're on Dragon Soul point now. They get the mid lane tower down, and Alf and Yomi are slowly becoming raid bosses in this game, with Fenbach being their bouncer on that 0-1-10 Galio. Has been super strong in these team fights with the help of Draconical shielding, helping out the whole team overall. So it's starting to become more and more difficult for IG to play this game out, but there are avenues for them to get back in if they do get these team fights on their terms, the way they're looking for them. They've been trying to get these engages going, but Titan Duff has been the one faster on these triggers. We saw when he did go to face tech that dragon, that they flashed
Maybe a
out of
little
Sid
bit too
Bloodline and literally missed him. He flashed over the Amumu, and it turned into a positive play for SG Proton, which it could have been a completely different story that we're talking about if they did get that pick and then the ensuing team fight. But right now, SG Proton in the driver's seat for this first game, looking to get that Mountain Soul. Baron is going to be coming onto the Rift about, I think, 20 seconds after this Dragon Soul does spawn. Otacon on the bot side of this map, but as a lot of people have learned, this buff is bait. It can kill you. It does so much damage if you aren't respectful to it, so it can be really difficult for teams to want to pull the trigger and start that one up when it does spawn. Even if they are advantageous in numbers, it can still be really difficult, and teams can turn it even 4v5, 3v5 because of the Atacon passive, shredding, magic resist, and armor across multiple people. Oh, Titan Duff.
Titan Duff caught a little bit far, does smite the Raptors and able to escape. This mummy has been anything but a coward so far this game. And you're right to point out the Atacon, because it is the only objective on the map right now. 2 more minutes before SG Proton's soul spawns. And Titan Duff caught once more. And maybe not caught himself, maybe he's caught someone else. Swaggy P, the only person really in range. Draconical, the only help that Titan Duff has, but just going to be a trade. Going to force the Xin Zhao out of his own jungle, trying to bully that Xin Zhao right the way out. Allow the bot side push to come through. A massive strong side coming in. Everyone leaning over towards this bot side. Paradigm Shift has to be careful now too. The wave clear on the Lux is very difficult to contend against, but if they go for another dive, it could just pay off. The Xin Zhao has backed off. This is a 1v3 for a very short moment here. If they end up going for that, I have my doubts. I don't think it's worth it, especially without the wave. Lux very close to her ult once more. That thing has about a negative cooldown at this point in the game. And Titan Duff may have been caught out himself, grounded by the Casio. Going to be teleported on by the Galio. A very bold choice to go in on this play. They're going to make a play out of it. The taunt comes in. The Rel Magnet Storm comes through. Alf running away for his life. He's looking to flash the wall, but he doesn't even have the flash. The Galio will fall. Fenbach a little bit too far, trying to save his jungler. And there is Alf going to a 3rd kill in this play, and a massive overextension in this bot side, really swinging the gold back into IG's favor.
Yeah, and it was just an overstep by Titan Duff. They were trying to set up the dive, and the second he wraps around, Swaggy P and Azure Fire are just there on the response and able to pick up 3 kills in succession for themselves, and one of those being that shutdown onto Alf, who has been super effective in these team fights, hitting those crucial seismic shelves, but it's going to turn into an advantage around this dragon area for IG, not letting SG get that Mountain Soul point, which could make their gameplay very difficult, but it looks like they're channeling recalls here, which is a bold choice with this Soul coming up in 20 seconds and all of IG back on the map now. You have both TPs out of Alf and Fenbach. Alf already TPing to this mid wave to secure their prio around this area, but the big thing is there is no ultimate on Titan Duff right now, and there's no ult on Fenbach, but either, crucial ultimates also down for IG. No Crescent Guard out of Swaggy P. They just are getting the Petrifying Gates off of Azure, and there's no Magnet Storm out of Sid Bloodline. So a team fight could be very difficult for both teams at this point without those crucial ultimates, but it looks like it's going to be started up here. Sid and Swaggy P are looking for it.
Titan Duff just receiving that ultimate himself. The only one that's really missing is Fenbax. He cannot decide on a champ to go in and dive on. Meanwhile, someone that can decide who to dive on is Sid Bloodline. He goes in for 2. The Magnet Storm gets them together, but they don't end up getting the kills. Titan Duff will fall eventually, but he has been the consistent sacrifice that SG Proton have been willing to make. The rest of their team, however, they are not willing to sacrifice. Yomi, a massive Cogmore so far this game. His kill going to be stolen in the end, I'm going to say, by Fenback. A good kill confirm, maybe, is the more political way of saying it. The Dragon Soul is there. 3k left on the Dragon. No junglers anywhere near, and the Taunt will confirm another kill. Fenback, maybe he deserved that one a little bit more. Finally getting another one. Going to push this Gragas out as well. The Soul is confirmed. Mountain Soul, so powerful, especially when you don't have many natural resistances, and even when you do, anything that makes you more tanky, gets you to stay alive for longer, is so important in League of Legends. Noble Bark on the long walk to death now. Gragas may be able to escape, actually, with the explosive cask. I may have called that one a little bit early. Alf going to be slowed down by the man drinking the beer, and he will actually be able to escape at the cost of a flash and an ultimate. So at least he escapes, but that is kind of the sole bright spot coming out of that play.
Yeah, and I mean, that play could have been so good for IG. They had the engage that they wanted to, but everybody else disconnected from it and not able to pick up the kills on the 2 people that Sid Bloodline did engage on, and it was turned quickly around by SG. Yomi basically untouched for most of that fight until he started to face tank a bunch of abilities, but they're still able to come out on top in that play, pick up the Mountain Dragon Soul for themselves, and now look to prioritize this Baron and start to break open these turrets, because regardless of all this fighting we've been having at 27 minutes in the game, only a combined total of 4 turrets have fallen in this game. Both top tier 1 outers are still alive, while this Baron is going to help both teams, but this is the issue that IG has with their comp. They're getting these engagements that they're looking for, but with Paradigm and both Azure being these somewhat low range mages, it can be really difficult to get those big kills. If they had maybe a hyper scaling 80 carry, they'd be able to pick up.
Paradigm may have been caught out here very far forward on the Lux. He is playing with fire. Draconical spots out an opportunity, but is not going to be pounced upon by his teammates. Titan Duff on not quite the right angle. The solo laners were clearing out their solo lanes. Alf might even be a little bit scared off himself. The Unraveled Earth is not going to connect the way it wanted to. And now Sid Bloodline's up here too. Paradigm Shift as well. And Alf is going to have to be teleported on to have his life saved. Fenback is coming, but will he arrive in time? The heroic entrance in. Knocks up 1, knocks up a 2nd on his E. He's looking to taunt as many as possible. Alf is getting so much time bought for him by his top lane, but it still won't quite result in a kill. Yes, it will in the long play. The Leandri's tick finally burning down Sid Bloodline, but it has left a 1v3 on the rest of the map. Swaggy P has been left all alone, trying to defend mid lane. He's going to get dove on a little bit deeper as well. Mid tier 2 will fall, and he's going to go even further. The Curse of the Sand Mummy goes in. The Crescent Guard 2. Yomi, has to run a lot closer in if he wants to finally finish off that Xin Zhao, which he will do, and these backs have still been stopped. Fenback is not allowing anyone to escape this play for free, jailing the 3 of them that baited themselves into top lane, and now finally able to press recall as the Atakan looks to be potentially the reward for that very long play where Fenback so heroically saved his mid laner.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Alf could have just even ulted away at one point in that fight. The way he was positioned, I think he could have been able to get that one off and escape that way, but they call Venbach up to the top lane to help support the mid laner, and it turns into a overall net positive for SG Proton, able to get to push down the mid wave, pick up 2 turrets for themselves. Now they're gonna look to finish up this Otacon. I don't think there's any way in here for IG with we see Swaggy pathing up to the top side. So Otacon picked up here for the side of SG, and that is the revive Otacon. So they could be a little bit more aggressive with the plays that they're looking for, knowing that they're just going to go back to base. But right now, it looks like Imperial Gaming is looking to start up this Baron. And with a Cassiopeia, they can take this rather quickly. And if SG isn't there in time, this will just go over to Imperial Gaming.
Yeah, they absolutely have to force. They are falling further and further behind. Objective bounties are on the Rift. If they don't take this Baron right this second, the game will very quickly slip out of their hands. But SG Proton don't even know that it's happening. They walk up towards the top side, and like ships in the night, they pass Objective bounty has been claimed. Swaggy P completely uncontested. They had the time to get in there. A shocking misread of the macro as now they look to be able to get the backs off 5 alive on a Baron that could stabilize this game for them.
Yeah, that is IG's window back into this game, considering they'll still have the Baron up for when this Elder Dragon does get onto the Rift. They could use this to push out their waves, get the state that they want on the map, and then look for it. But that doesn't mean SG doesn't have great wave clear either, with the Kog'Maw having that rapid fire cannon now and Alf on this Talia. They can clear these waves rather effectively. So it could be difficult for IG to get an effective Baron usage out here with all 5 of them A-ramming right now, not really looking to push anywhere else, while Fenbach, without the Baron, is just split pushing top lane.
Yeah, no one can really be trusted right now in a solo lane. Potentially Noble could be, but no one feels confident unless now is the time to go. Fenbach flashes away instead of choosing to lose his Atakan buff. Not a play you typically want to make. You want to save your summoners for after you've withdrawn when you go back in for the replay. Instead, loses that key summoner. A massive engage tool has fallen. Not the main engage tool, of course. Still Titan Duff existing on the Mummy. But a massive tool still falling, as the Atakan will start to wear off pretty soon. And it has been completely nullified by the take of this Baron. The tempo play, as soon as you see the Atakan to go down, to try and cross-map it, everyone recalling, no one there to contest, and now it is Elder time. Spawning on the Rift, the mid-push, guaranteed for IG, but you can't just take mid-push for an Elder. They're going to look for the fight instead. A 5v5 is guaranteed, as Titan Duff is so deep in. He has a 2-man stun, but he chooses not to take it, goes for the flash for the third as well. Already, the Gragas has been caught out, trying to bully out the Kog'Maw. Unfortunately, not going to happen this time. A 2-for-2, though, already trading back in, but still Yomi, full HP, completely untouched throughout all of that. He finally takes some damage in the end, but it is just a matter of delay. Azarex not strong enough to 1v3. Yomi probably is at this point, and 3 stay alive. The laners are alive for SG Proton as they look to end game 1.
Yeah, and knowing this SG Proton team so well, I know Alf is not very, Alf's having a good time, but Yomi is mauling in their voice chat right now, getting that pentakill angle stolen away from him by Alf himself. But regardless, with that, it looks like SG Proton is on the brink of getting this game number 1, but Sid Bloodline has something to say about that. And the rest of IG's here now. They get Fenbach. They could look to defend now, and it's going to force Alf and Yomi away. So Sid Bloodline, with the heroic plays, able to stall this game out even longer, and Elder is on the Rift. They're going to have to 4v5 this as IG if they want a chance to stay in this game.
I will happily admit I was mistaken. I thought that was a play made in vain. I didn't check the respawn timers. Apparently, everyone else spawning about the same time. He just goes in there like an absolute madman. And the key thing coming out of that mid-play, when they weren't able to end the game, Yomi having to use both summoners to stay alive in that fight. Sure, he was untouched most of it, but that was because of those summoners. This time, around the Elder, he doesn't have them. No one really has their summoners right now. Only the Lulu and the Xinjiao with up on the Rift. A couple of teleports, but they will not matter during this fight. Things like the Ignite and the Exhaust can sway these fights, but we will just have to see what happens as Elder is started by the stronger team, you'd have to say. Proton looking very, very strong. Down to 5k already. Swaggy P's not even in a position to go in. They cannot let this fall for nothing. He flashes over the wall. Gonna, no, not steal it. The smite comes in. Titan Duff just in time, and that'll be Swaggy P falling. Now they are the ones that had to hold 4v5.
Yeah, and I think with that Elder, it is going to, call curtains on this game here for IG. I don't think they'd be able to defend against the onslaught that SG can put out here. They still have a lot of engage options, even without ultimates, but IG going to have to look for the hero defense right now.
Things like that binding are going to be a way to get it done. Fenbach doesn't give a damn about your route. He's just going to charge into your face. Doesn't connect with anything, but the intentions are most certainly there. 10 more seconds before Swaggy P is back up. One more wave they have to clear as the minions clear out the top lane. The Lux, Final Spark, gonna clear out the mid wave. They should be able to hold on at least for another wave, and it's gonna force a little bit of a split push instead now for Proton. if they recognize it. If they don't recognize it, they could just end up wasting this Elder, 1 minute of which has already fallen off. Up to the top lane seems to be the play. The waves very misaligned right now. Only a slither of HP remaining on this cannon as well. It will fall instantly. Already halfway through the Elder buff and nothing really to show for it.
Yeah, and that's the power of IG's wave clear with this Cassiopeia and the Lux. They
Don't go deep. That was a huge deep play. Titan buff goes super deep, forcing out all sorts. The Lulu ult as well on top of him, but it will just be the engage. He is the sacrifice once again. A 2-for-1 play, forcing so hard on the Elder. Paradigm doesn't want to let this go for free. Draconical playing very far up against Noblebark as well. Galio just going to TP onto his mid laner to give them a bit of a magic shield. Is another thing we kind of overlooked with Galio. All those magic resistances basically is a Kainic shield whenever he wants to ult as well. Looking towards the rest of it, no more wave again. Still no Nexus Tower gonna fall. They do respawn, so it's not worth as much as it used to be. As Fembak gonna just charge forward, find nothing, walk away, and Elder running out in 15 seconds. This play in the extension really hasn't worked for SG Proton.
Yeah, I mean, they got 2 kills, but it was on the Sid Bloodline and Swaggy P. You wanted to get Paradigm and Azure there to get rid of that wave clear. That you kind of need Baron to end this game if you are SG Proton, because they haven't been playing the sideways for like the last 10 minutes. They've all just been 5-man mid for both teams, so that means the sideways aren't pushing in any favor, so they had no plays to rotate for after the mid wave was cleared countless times by Paradigm on this Lux, with that Final Spark being such a low cooldown at this point in the game. But Baron is being started up here by SG Proton. It looks like the contest is coming for IG.
Swaggy P, is he going to send his life for one more steal? He's in the pit. They have let this get super low, down to 2k, down 1900, 1400, he steals it! He's stolen Baron. He will not escape this fight though, and neither will his support that let him get in. Okay, 3 alive, the wave clear, but another Baron, and the stall is really coming through now for IG. They are finding ways to keep this game alive.
Yeah, so I know SG's coach, and I know right now he is...
How many words are we not allowed to say that he's saying?
So many. I know he's mauling right now with how SG has been playing out these last couple of minutes in this game. He is going to give him an earful post-game, win or lose. But like we said, Baron goes over to IG. They get to stall this game out for another 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and with that, the Elder will be back on the Rift, so we're going to be getting another fight over these neutral objectives. SG has to do such a better job at not letting Swaggy P in. Draconical marked him. He was like, hey guys, this is Zhao's here, he's going to come in, and they just let him walk in for free. He got to steal away the Baron and keep the hopes alive for IG, and without Baron, there is no push coming out of SG. Paradigm shift every 30 seconds is just going to clear away a wave, and they're not going to be able to do anything with it. And right now, because of that, we see Alf and Fenbach on these sideways trying to push them in, trying to get counter plays somewhere that is going to pull one of these APCs away from IG to be able to get some damage onto these structures. But their waves are not synced. They haven't been synced for the last couple of minutes, and it makes it really hard to do anything. So IG just has more time to farm up, more time to scale, and more hope in this game the later and later it keeps going on. Elder spawning in 1 minute and 20 seconds, and at this point, it can go either way. Like, I could see Swaggy stealing it and that being the game in IG's favor at this point in the game.
Yeah, it really could go that way if it does, but instead Titan Buff wants to prove that he is the better jungler once and for all. A massive engage found once again, and this time it is an APC caught. Titan Duff will finish him off as well, deservedly so. Finds another as well with his chain. A beautiful bandage toss, gets another stun, this time onto Swaggy Pete, and now the rest of his team arrives. The Cycle Shove doesn't quite connect, another bandage toss, and that will be the Lux falling now. Without Cassio, without Lux, I think this could just be impossible. Unless there is some top lane shenanigans. I don't quite know what's going on here. I'm going to ignore that. If we go, can we go back? There we go, cool. I think they're just accepting the end of the game. It will be Swaggy P to fall, trying to protect the Nexus. Once again, Sid Bloodline goes, he gets a kill on his way out, as he to do, but that will be game 1, heading the way of SG Proton. Noblebark only staying alive because of the top lane alliance.
Yeah, and out of nowhere, game just ends. We thought it could go a little bit longer, but Titan finding the crucial engagers that was necessary for SG to come up with the win here in this first game, and what started to become a back and forth affair, which I wasn't expecting after how the mid game was being played out by SG. But a couple of macro mistakes really cost them with a clean win in this first game, but able to clean it up just enough in the end to be able to pick up game number 1 here. And looking over this, Yomi's damage is comparable to Alf's. Alf also putting out so much damage on this Talia in this game.
Yeah, and it's very surprising with how much extra money that Cogmore had, how much extra survivability he afforded himself with itemization like the Terminus, like the Jack shows. We didn't touch on it during the game, but he was a very difficult Cogmore to kill. And even if you did kill him, he can still explode after death as well. Not a very fun prospect. Coming in, looking at the other side, it really was just Paradigm Shift, the sole bright spot. Xinjiao, Swaggy P, he did okay. He did the best with what he could. A great Baron steal at the end. A decent macro play as well when the Atacama was taken to go for that push. But overall, I think a bit of a team diff in the end. Not necessarily in terms of the macro, but definitely in terms of the hand. Yomi in particular, a 30 KDA to start off this split. A beautiful start. Any ADC would probably trade their mothers for that start. So we'll see how he can carry that on into the rest of the split after a short little break.
And welcome back for game number 2 in our series here tonight between SG Proton and Imperial Gaming, with Blue Otter being full fearless and the auto swap of sides. We'll have SG on the blue side and IG on the red side. And bans are staying the same across the board, which means SG Proton going to first pick that Orianna for Alf, which is an instant responded to by IG going for that Zyrakan, the lovers duo.
Yeah, 3 instant picks. I was barely even ready for one, but we are straight into the thick of things. Orianna, a very strong mid laner. Zyrakan, a tale as old as about 2018, 2019, whenever they were introduced. A very solid bot lane in their own right. Can, of course, be played individually, but a very safe bot lane as well. Zaya with her own self-peel, but it's going to be met by something a little bit less safe.
Oh,
You're
man.
making a face.
Oh man, what has Efron been letting Yomi pick, man? I remember when I used to play with this game, he'd be like, pick Kog'Maw, and we're like, no, you're not playing Kog'Maw. It's like, all right, Lucian. It's like, no, you're not getting Lucian. And now out of nowhere, Yomi's just playing the champions that he wants to play, and hey, it worked in game
Okay,
number
but I mean,
1.
after that Kog'Maw, can you really blame him?
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna say, man, maybe this Lucian is the
Maybe you were
champ.
holding him back all this time.
Yeah, it's my fault. That's why he's still gold and I'm an emerald.
Yeah, Lucian
regardless
Nami, what a lane.
I mean, hey, if that lane gets ahead, it is so oppressive and so dominant. That's why we still see it, despite Nami not being as synergistic with Lucian that she used to be, still really good. But it's still played all across the world in professional leagues, semi-pro leagues, and everything, just because of how dominant it can be. But we still got a lot of nice engage options for the side of IG. You got the Rakan, paired it up with the Sejuani, going to follow it up with a potential Volibear here as well. And Zaya is one of the safe AD carries in the game with that ultimate, and then also having the Blade Caller letting you get that root, so you do have that self-peel and self-escape in a way, so can be very impactful if you are able to play it effectively. But looking to go for a Vex here, which is
Yeah, Volibear was a bit confounded at Vex.
I'm even more
A decent
confused with
AP.
the Vex.
It is a bit odd, don't get me wrong. I'd have loved to see something like a Yone. I don't know if that's anyone's wheel, but Sejuani Yone, one of my favorite pairings, especially pairing it with a very fast attack speed melee champion. Vex, on the other hand, very different, ranged and AP. So looking to dive is clearly the memo coming in here from IG. 3 dive champs and a safe ADC. What can they pair this up with on the top side? I'd have loved to have seen something like an Ornn, but it looks like it will be taken away. The team fight against the dive. Very clear identities coming out from both of these drafts.
Yeah, and I mean, I think SG going with the Ornn here makes so much sense. You do need an engage option once you do pick that Nami, and you do need a good ball carrier as well when you have that Orianna. Normally, you do see like the likes of Nocturne Orianna, which is the combo, but Jarvan still really good. Can be difficult for Zaya to deal with it, because even if you do, use your ultimate in that root call and that Cataclysm, you don't get to leave it. You're still stuck in it regardless of where you ult from it, so you have to kind of predict it to be able to not get caught in it. But after seeing how Titan Duff played in that first game, I'm hoping he's a little bit cleaner on the Jarvan, but there we go. That's a melee champion you want to pair up with Sejuani, and with how strong Gwen is right now, I love to see that being picked up here for Noble Bark in the top lane.
I am surprised it's taken until the 20th pick to see this thing coming out for the first time this season. I said it when it happened, I'm still going to say it again. This Jarvan is not my favorite choice. I love seeing a Jarvan into an immobile ADC. Zaya isn't necessarily that. She has a lot of self-peel. You pointed out all of her abilities designed to keep her alive while still pumping out the damage. And sure, the Jarvan might be able to get on top of her. She's still not going to die. If she's able to time her ultimate with the shockwave, there is absolutely nothing anyone can do to kill that Zaya while she's in the pit with the Jarvan. If anything, the Jarvan's the one that's going to have to be scared.
Yeah. Zaya's not going to be stuck in there with Jarvan. Jarvan's going to be stuck in there with her. And yeah, she doesn't have like the mobility, but like you said, that ultimate is very helpful for kind of self-peeling yourself even within that Jarvan ultimate, and it becomes like a fight or death situation, becomes the Thunderdome, as you rightfully named it in that first game, where they're just going to be trying to kill each other and that. But if Jarvan could even find this Vex, it can be very impactful in the game. But I think if this Gwen does get out of hand, it can be very hard for SG to play this game. I think this Gwen is one of the strongest champions in the game with her recent buffs 2 patches ago now, or 3 patches ago now. I still think she's insanely strong, and if Noble Bart gets ahead, there's not going to be anybody to answer him in a side lane. Like, Ornn can try to clear the wave, but Gwen loves fighting into the Ornn, and that's why we see it picked here. So far, I'm liking what IG has drafted a little bit more than what I liking out of the SG camp in this game number 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I'm really not a big fan at all of the way they finished out this draft. I think there are multiple different junglers that could have gone better, even looking towards the Bruiser style. How much better does a Wukong look with this comp, right? The engage from the Cyclone is the exact same as you get from a Cataclysm, if not a bit more, because it can't even be cleansed, right? It's an airborne. You get the reproc, you get a little bit more damage probably coming through. Obviously, Jarvan has his own positives, but they don't quite match up in the same way. Jarvan, you're happier to take into some tankier comps, and Sejuani, not really counting as a tankier comp. And then you're also having to take it into very immobile ADCs. Things like the Misfortune is when I'd love to see the Jarvan, not this time around. But it is still just champions. It is the people piloting them that matters a whole lot more. He still is a great ball delivery system, even when he doesn't find Desire. If he's able to get on top of this Vex, he will still put out a tremendous amount of damage in conjunction with his mid lane. So we're going to hold our reservations for a little bit longer. We'll have to see what happens when our players load onto the Rift. We'll be back in just a couple minutes when they do.
Those cravens backstab me, deceive me. Never shall I tolerate their crime. peace, restore our glory to live forever. Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace, restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power. Lead us to order. I am the light bringer.
And welcome back for game number 2, everybody. SG Proton, Imperial Gaming, SG picking up game number 1. They're going to be on the blue side for this one, while IG is on red side.
Hello.
And we are going to have some action, and I hope
Is this
you
a
are ready
handshake?
for this, Rue.
Is this a handshake level 1? What is going on here? The fear comes out from the Vex early on. Neither side really has good CC, basically relying on charging into a wall on an Ornn, proccing permafrost, or, I mean, Rakan W, of course, the grand entrance is what it is. But Nami Bubble as well, they're looking to try and guarantee themselves this red buff. Oh, and they are going to get rid of that ward as well. Of course, they don't drop XP anymore. Not that it would have given anyone an early level 2, with all 5 still remaining together. A very interesting level 1 that did absolutely nothing apart from give over 2 CS.
Yeah, I thought a whole lot of action was about to break out in that first 30 seconds of the game, with both teams just full 5-manning it up to the top lane there.
That must have been a handshake, right? There's no way they send full 5 top both of them.
Yeah, not sure what happened there,
But
but
they didn't fight.
yeah, bunch of cowards. But regardless,
Mhm.
like you said, I'm looking at the drive of this game. I'm curious. Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh
I'll
man,
take over
sorry
then.
about that. But
You got it.
I'm really curious to see how Titan Duff does perform on the drive in this game. He's one of these more super aggressive junglers. It looks like he's already going for that early invade after taking his red buff, sprinting straight up to the blue buff. They will
Buff
have
to buff.
information. They will have information about this on IG because of that ward that we see on SG Proton's red buff. So Swaggy P could look to do the same thing, but his clear is going a little bit slower, choosing to go for the Raptors and choosing to go to his blue side, maybe not knowing that this is being taken away from him. But Titan Duff gets this and gets out. This is going to be a huge advantage for him in this early game, and could look to try to get these ganks going off early if somebody is misstepped in the lane. I was like expecting him to go for like that classic Jarvan level 3 gank in the mid wave after you take your whole bot side and just look to burn a flash at level 3. But regardless, I'm going to go back up to Salem blue buff, clear his bot side, and go back up to his top side and have that nice little early jungle advantage for himself.
Yeah, a very nice advantage that he has found. The only hint that he was even making that play would have been on the minimap when he walks up to Raptors, but then you don't really see it afterwards. So sure, you've ordered his red buff, you know where he started, but you don't know where he's gone after that. The lack of vision, just from placing so many wards at the level 1 in topside, 2 of them got destroyed, only one of them survived, and it is also already fallen. And now you're left with a Sejuani who is blue buffless. Not obviously the worst
Oh,
buff to
in
lose
mid
as
lane.
Sejuani. She's going to try and make the most of it. Heads straight into mid. She is right in there already. Alf forced away, permafrost procced, and first blood headed over to Paradigm Shift. Another time where Swaggy Pete has enabled a solo laner to get first blood in a position that it just didn't look likely.
Yeah, and something I just noticed that I didn't talk
Titan Duff
about
can't be
in
here. He is way too far up. He is going to have to flag and drag his way over. A flash, a bit of an odd choice there from Swaggy P. Seeing as you are up against the Jarvan, you're never going to get the CC chain to lock him out, and he never has to use his own flash if he has his own flag and drag. An odd choice there, but as you were saying,
Yeah, Paradigm Shift choosing to go for the Ignite in the mid lane this game instead of going for that teleport. So definitely something I just noticed off of that solo kill, or sorry, that 2v1 kill in the mid lane. He did Ignite Alf to get that last tick of damage to get that first blood for himself, but definitely going to be interesting to see how IG plays out the macro towards the later half of this game because of that. But Titan Duff gonna get that. He did get the scuttle crab for himself, and even being pushed away at his own blue side of the map, was able to still
Oh, wow.
walk.
he is bold with this. The flag and drag went
dead.
super deep. The slow from the W, as well as his own flash. Gonna get him out for now until Noble Bark has teleported in, but he doesn't even look for the Jarvan. He looks for the 3v4 play instead. Alf gonna slow him down with the Orianna W. Everyone converging on the bot side of the map, and it will be in vain in the end unless Yomi could turn this around. The flash forward, and he gets the kill on the Lucian. A beautiful play to turn it around a second time. It looked like it was going every single direction apart from that, but over the line it goes, and a kill on the board. We saw how strong he was with an early kill last game, and this time it doesn't even cost him his life.
Yeah, and what is IG doing? They're just full 5-man bot at 5 minutes in the game, and the advantage that Noble was building for himself in the top lane is just neutralized as Fenbach just gets to sit up there going, hey, thanks for the free golden XP. I'm playing Ornn, buddy. The more XP I get, the better it is for my team. And even with, you know, it looked like an overextension out of Titan Duff, they didn't layer the CC correctly on the side of IG, so he was able to flash away, and it just turns around into a net positive play for IG. Yomi getting, sorry, a net positive play for SG, not IG. But regardless, Yomi gets that first early kill on the solution and is going to look to capitalize off that and be a menace in this game with the amount of damage that a Lucian can put out with a Nami in his back pocket. But now off of first recalls, it looks like SG is looking to go for these grubs.
Yeah, Grub's the choice. Yomi, a full longsword up on Azarox, and that is the price of losing in that long play. Lucian obviously flashless now for the next 4 minutes or so, but he won't care. The rest of his team is going to contest the Grubs. He will contest the bot lane 1v1 for the time being against the Xayah. The first Grub already fallen, and Draconical, sure, he roamed up here nice and early. He has the bubble as well, and that might even be the play chosen. Paradigm Shift will have to flash away. Titan Duff unable to get the kill. Sid Bloodline as well gonna flash over. So 2 flashes and only 1 grub taken. A very solid play for SG Proton.
Yeah, a really nice roam by Draconical, able to turn that into a really good play with Titan Duff in the back pocket, getting that nice engage, followed up by the bubble, forcing everybody from IG to walk away there. Yes, they don't pick up all 3 grubs from themselves. They only get 2, so that feat is not going to go over into their back pocket, but they are quickly going down to this dragon with the tempo that they have and knowing that there's no flash on Paradigm or on Sid Bloodline. So it looks like first dragon of the game. After that play in top lane, going to go over to SG here.
Yeah. And you pointed out as well how much the Gwen lost for that early play down to bot. All 5 sent down there. There was a chance that she could have chased Titan Duff, but instead, Noblebach decided to go around, stick around for the fight that never ended up materializing for him. And everything he was gaining in the top side, it's short. It's looking fine still, and he's going to even invest the needlework as well. One more charge. Only halfway tagged down is Fenbach, and he still has TP. A very odd timing to choose to use it there. No flash, nothing at all going to be forced out. Slightly mystifying, if I'm going to be truthfully honest.
Yeah, I think Noble Bark just not respecting how tanky Fenbach actually is with just that one magic resist item that I'm blanking on the name of, because I never
Spectre's
built.
Cowl.
Yeah, I never build it as a support. I'll be 100% honest here. When I build it, I'm like, I
It
got
does
the
valid.
cloak. Don't know what it does, but I got it. It builds into Canic Raccoon when that item
Yes, it
used to
does.
exist. That item doesn't, Canic Raccoon doesn't exist anymore. People buy it. They are getting lost to by Boris. But regardless, Fenbach probably, I forgot, that also built into Unending Despair,
It
if I
does
remember
indeed,
correctly.
and that
So
will be the choice this game.
correct. I was gonna just note on that, but right now Fenbach is feeling pretty happy in this top lane. Yeah, he's down 14 CS, but regardless, he's level 7, same level as Noble Bark, and he still has his
Vibing.
own TP. He is just chilling up here, being the Forge God that Ornn is. But speaking of TPs, Alf TP to the mid wave, and
Ooh, this is
Yomi
play.
looking for something.
Yomi going in, the bubble
Oh.
connects onto the Rakan, the battle dance doesn't quite get him out, the E forward from Yumi. Now the culling comes through, Azarex has to tank all of it so that his support doesn't die. He somehow just about survives with a slither of HP as the 2v2 is also happening in the mid jungle. The 2v2 bot did not go well, the 2v2 mid jungle kind of fizzles out. A Yomi massive trade coming in, forcing the double reset. Zyrakan, the lovers retreat, and still the pressure that this Lucian and the Nami possess together is so potent. This is what they need to really apply pressure, get these leads. 25 CS up and a kill. Gonna be close to that first item already.
Yeah, and I think Yomi canceled like 3 auto attacks in that play. I think he would have been able to pick up a kill if he actually knew how to auto attack.
bubble.
Apparently he forgot for a second. Another nice bubble out of Draconical there, but interesting choice out of Draconical on this Nami. Building a tier, I guess he's going to build into Archangels this game, or just looking for some
You might
early...
just hold on to it for a while. It's
I mean,
a very cheap item and it's
I
so
do
much
the-
mana.
I do the same thing when I play Sona. I build an early tier, I stack it to 350, I build my 2 items, and then I sell it for a third. I never build Archangels on Sona, but maybe Draconical looking to do the same thing. I mean, it's a good item for these Enchanter supports who are always looking to sling these
Swaggy
spells. but
P
now-
finds the way in, the Vex on the dive through, a beautiful kill to get the first, and here comes the Rakan as well, the quickness gonna be here, and Xayah as well flashes. Okay,
And
Azarex a
ults.
little bit, yeah, a little bit over aggressive there. Flash ult invested, doesn't even get the kill. That will go to the Rakan, who didn't even ignite. 5 up here for the second rotation of Grubs that is just spawning, so they are on time. But yeah, Flash and ult doesn't even secure the kill, doesn't secure the item. Now Xayah is forced to head back. Azarex, without that Essence Reaver, into a lane where Yomi does already possess the Essence Reaver. An unwinnable 1v1 that he is forced to go back to now, and Yomi will only continue his advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, Azure for that roam is down 30 CS right now to Yomi, so a
Are they going to go
huge
2v1
gap.
dive?
They could look for it. Azure's got nothing except for a barrier.
He's super low already, and that might even be the kill. The barrier does get popped. Draconical was tanking the turret. He is forced to run away once more. He barely even got back to lane, and here comes Alf with the speed up on his W, but here comes the Rakan instead. Sid Bloodline battle dancing in. Grand entrance will keep away the Orianna for just the right amount of time, but it's still not enough to save that turret. Not even close, in fact. Yomi with the passive, just going to keep double-shotting away at the turret. First tower will fall. Only taken 11.5 minutes, and already a tower on the side of this Lucian. He is so strong.
Yeah, and I need to... never mind, we gotta
Okay.
play in the mid lane.
Orianna shockwave in on the Jarvan, the flag and drag, but the Glacial Prism from Swaggy P is there just in time, looking to save to his mid laner, and he will in fact save him. Now the second ult can be casted, and it's going to force the flag and drag away. Paradigm Shift doing so well to survive, doesn't even have to flash, and now will be able to push out that wave for free. Sid Bloodline there, able to help it. Titan Duff, all he can do is catch it under the tower as a jungler.
Yeah, and I mean, I need to take a second to talk about Yomi in that bot lane play there. This is specifically for Elton, the SG coach. I need you to beat Yomi with a belt because he could have killed Azure there, but he autoed the turret and not the Xayah. So, big misplay by
Gotta get
him. And then also, Alf needs to be beat with the way he's running it this game on this Orianna. Going 0-3 right now.
Back.
Fenbach.
Into the top lane. Double
Solo
ult's gonna
ult.
come out. Oh my god, the Ornn absolutely diffs the Gwen. That is disgusting. Brittle procs doing what Brittle procs do. The call of the Forge God, all that's required to save the top laner, who also still has TP if he wanted to look for a play. Obviously, no ult on the map. A 3v4. Somehow, okay, right. You just
All
win
right.
in the top lane, 1v1, and then you're going to look for a 3v4 in the bot lane without your mid laner?
So, all right, Rue. There's something you don't know about being here for your first time in BOL.
Okay.
This is an SG.
Oh, and that's an overstep. Draconical. Sorry. We're going to go back in. Swaggy
Oh
P
my
with
God.
the smite. Smites down the support. The rest of his team is hanging on by a thread, but he will still find the enemy support, the Nami, no longer for this world. And against all odds, IG are 1,000 gold up.
Yeah, so this is what we call a classic SG Proton game number 2.
Okay.
Notorious for never playing well in game 2. Actually, like throwing games in game number 2. I've been there. I've done it as well. I'm not prone to doing this with them, but oh, and Yomi's dead in the mid lane.
Yeah, the bright spot for for SG Proton has fallen. It looks like he was backing on a ward, and Paradigm Shift wasn't going to let him get away with that. The burst coming in from this Vex cannot be understated. A beautiful kill found. Paradigm Shift is not messing about today. And it's another pick found. He is now 3-0-4, 100% KP on the mid lane Vex.
Yeah, and we had a couple questions about this Vex pick when it was locked in, but Paradigm making us eat our words on that one. Show it. Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh, showing up so far on this Vex in this game. Like you said, full KP on this mid laner, 97 CS, up about almost 30 over his counterpart in the mid lane of Alpha this game, similar to how Yomi is over Azure, but Paradigm has been more of an it factor in this game so far and has been playing phenomenal, getting the picks, getting so much damage out of this Vex at this point in the game. So
And that
hopefully
really
he
shows
can
in the item
continue on
diff
that
as
track.
well.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Just look at those items. 3 kills, 4 assists, affording him so much more maneuverability with those items. A full Ludens and a needlessly large rod, which for the fact that it's needlessly large gives him so much AP. On the other side, it is a chapter and a hex tech alternator. Orianna still not at the Ludens at 15 minutes in. Alf seriously needs a back. Otherwise, he will fall further and further behind in the side lane as Paradigm Shift looks to group up early. This is the downside. When you go Ignite over Teleport, when you want to make a play as a team, you have to go early. And here is the early play. Swaggy P hits the Glacial Prison, and it's going to force the Flag and Drag away from Titan Duff. Draconical now stuck on the far side, and it is the Shadow Surge over the top. Paradigm Shift finds the jungler once more, and the wave will also not save Nami. As Ornn on the top side, the Forge God left alone. This is an interesting play in itself. Gonna flash over the wall. Swaggy P gets the Heartsteel stack, gets out. But interesting that Fennback even went close to that.
Yeah, he was trying his best to get in there to make something happen with the side of Yomi. Never
They're
mind.
gonna go again. 3v5. They are playing this 3v5. Yomi is the only one full HP. He's still doing very well for himself, but the rest of his team either in their graves, in the fountain, or are absolutely on death's door, and they will fall. Yomi now forced to flash. A very odd force there.
Yeah, SG doing what SG does best and just kind of
Don't force
falls
3v5.
during game number 2. Yeah, they're.
Don't force 3v5.
I don't.
Don't do that.
I don't. Look, I wish. And they're going.
They're going to
again.
force 3v5 again. This time, the health advantage is in their favor, and it will actually go Yumi. A double kill already. Sid Bloodlin as well. Super, super low. Titan Duff won't even fall. The shutdown goes over to the pentakill play is denied. This time, I like it. That is a better 3v5 to take, and I guess it comes as a result of that first one in some demented way. It works out in the end, but they are still barely even with their opponents in gold. All the money is invested on this ADC. What can Yomi do on the Lucian for the rest of this?
What is Draconical's build right now? He's building Archangels. He's got a lost chapter
Yeah.
and a tier. He's building
Yeah,
Archangels.
I tried to defend him, and I am no longer his lawyer.
Yeah, I don't think there's any defending that, actually. I think that is kind of grief at
That's disgusting.
Draconical there. Like, you want Moonstone, you want Imperial Mandate, you want, like, Ardent Censor or Shurelio's or even Redemption. I don't think this is the build. I don't know where he's getting this build from, if he's cooking it up himself, but I think it's a little overcooked. I think he burnt it a little bit and needs to call his
Take it out the
lawyer
oven.
he's got to call his lawyer because Boris is getting away with theft this game.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Sol Goodman is not available for services right now. Checking DPM lol, there is absolutely no defending this play.
Yeah, Analytics,
Dreamcatcher, Imperial
nothing.
Mandate, Moonstone Renewer is the typical
Yep.
build.
Yep.
Swapping the order is fine. Mikhail's Blessing if they have some CC, but I mean, your Lucian has Cleanse, so I guess you don't need that
Oh.
this game. Archangels is not ever the choice,
Hey,
not
I
even an
found-
ARAM. Here comes the Shadow Surge once more to engage, found by Paradigm Shift, and he will destroy the squishy support as now he's found another reset onto Yomi. He instantly is forced to cleanse away, and now comes the call of the Forge God. A beautiful R2 coming from Fembak. He already is onto the ADC. Azarex without his flash will fall, and the play somehow turns around from a 5v4 into a 4v1. Noble is nowhere even near. Maybe that was the difference. Because he was still in that top side without his TP, Ornn teleporting in and making a humongous team fight work for his team.
Yeah, and once again, Yomi playing that team fight very well. Once the Vex did go in on that second cast of their ultimate, instantly cleared that, cleansed that fear. So he's able to kite it out and pick up so many kills. And Yomi, so far this series has been showing up really well so far after taking a whole split of competitive League of Legends off. So really happy to see him showing up and showing out on some champions that, you know, I have question marks around him playing, but, you know, kind of proving me wrong, calling me a doubter. But, I mean, if Yomi ever dies in these team fights, I do think SG just ends up losing them just because
don't have the
they're
damage.
so far behind. They have no damage without him. They're so far behind in all their other roles in comparison, except for maybe Fenbach in the top lane, but it's Ornn. Let's be real. He does literally everything. He is the tank,
Yep.
assassin, bruiser, everything that you want. So he could make the
Assassin-
difference in a team fight. But
Assassin should be highlighted because that is the role that he took in that previous fight, finding the flanking teleport and catching Azarex off guard. Zaya had no idea that Ornn was behind him. The Forge God himself sending the ult through, doing massive work with the humongous knockup, of course, but then also getting the kill on the ADC. The value coming from this Ornn cannot be overstated as we look now into the mid-game. Atakan on the Rift, 20 minutes in, an even-ish game state, but it could turn so quickly, and Titan Duff wants to turn it further in SG Proton's favor. He is spotted out by the Raptor Ward.
Yeah, and nice ward there, so he could not look for that play, but now they could be in a little bit of trouble. Both Draconical and Titan Duff, we see the collapse coming.
Yeah, a 5v2 found in the short term, and the Shadow Surge is going to find its way onto Draconical. The wave looks to disengage, a very nice play, and there comes the Seraphs. I believe the whole play is to give your Nami a little bit more sustainability while giving her the AP. The shield comes in at the perfect time. Seraph's Embrace doing what it has to, keeping the Dark Seal stacks on the Nami alive, if that's something you even want to.
I don't know what Draconical is building, man. I'm not even going to highlight it anymore at this point. But regardless, the Otacon being started up here by SG Proton, they
This
see
is bold.
in the area. They need to not let him get in this pit and smite this one away.
3k left. The Forge God is called, but he is feared. He is unable to press any buttons. He can't call it back. A massive knockup, but no extra damage on top. Swaggy P will secure that Atakan, and now the dive in as well. They can go so deep for this. They've already found that Oriana is just Yomi that's providing any damage. Draconical as well alive. They're gonna let them survive for now. The recall was used by 2, I believe. The Rakan going down alongside the Sejuani. So not a perfect play, but still 3 kills for 2 withdraws is something you will take every single day of the week. They might even have overstayed, though. They're on vision. Noble Bark, Gwen is immune. Might just allow him his escape. No. The movement speed. Yes! The movement speed. Okay, I thought Nami movement speed plus the fact of the dash from Yomi was going to be enough. But he only went with the W, didn't want to bother getting inside auto range. And that will cost him at least 200 gold as well. Noblebark survives with a GA buff for the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, and I got some insight for us here, Mr. Rue. Apparently, this Nami build is some new Korean build, as I'm being told.
Okay.
I guess we're just
I've heard of
behind on
those.
the times here. I mean, hey, it worked in that play, kept him alive, and was able to be
Yeah.
impactful in that team fight. But I think SG starting up the Atacon was was a choice that they could make in this game of League of Legends, and they did do just that. Turns out being the wrong play, but they still made it, and at least they did it as 5 friends. But regardless, Yomi did pick up some big crucial gold onto himself, picking up some of those Otacon buffs off of crucial members at this point. And now I'm really curious. They need to get Orin close to somebody or get him level 14. He needs to start handing out these ornaments at this point in the game. Where you're 23 minutes in, he's sitting at level 13. You want your Orin to be handing out ornaments at this point in the game. So he's going to have to side lane for a little while here and say, hey guys, good luck. I'm XP farming.
Yeah, and he will be XP farming into a decent matchup. Unfortunately, the Gwen has a completed item over him because he spent so much time building up these other partial item completions. I'm not sure whose benefit the Bramble Vest is for, but clearly doesn't like the healing coming out from somewhere. Wants to stop that in its tracks. Maybe the Sejuani on the Unending Despair
It's
is
from
the
the Gwen.
choice. The Gwen has, I guess, Riftmaker healing.
Also, the ultimate heals you as well, and she does
Sure.
do enough auto attacks. So in the 1v1, in the grand scheme of the 1v1, it makes sense. But regardless of that, the dragon has started. We're
Wave.
looking for the fight.
The team fight ults are coming through. Fenback once more, a massive knockup, but no return damage coming in from it. Instead, Paradigm Shift, Shadow surges in. The Gwen as well over the top with the needlework, finds another, and Azarex will escape as well. Xayah doing exactly what Xayah does. A 3v4 now as Paradigm Shift, of course, had to go very deep. They're going to flip the Drake, and somehow the steal comes through. Soul Point secured, but it will cost Titan Duff his life. So, Soul Point for your jungler, not bad. Costing your mid lane and your bot laner too, not great.
Yeah, and like I said, if Yomi goes down in these fights, it's just a win for IG, and we saw exactly that. Yomi got blown up by Paradigm on this Vex, and despite Fenbach hitting basically a 5-man ultimate, he didn't hit the Gwen or the Xayah thanks to the immunes that they had, but even with that, and then a 3-man knockup to follow, it just didn't matter because everybody else from SG was trying to peel for Yomi and Alpha, and it just did not work in the end. But maybe a little bit of an overextension here at IG. Fenbach is chasing.
The play coming in again. He's hit level 14. He's allowed to drop one or doesn't even need to bother with it just yet, though, as the Baron is on the Rift. The reward for killing the enemy jungler is the chance to go wherever you please. Now hands over the ornament onto the Infinity Edge of his ADC. A beautiful item. Love to see that upgraded. Pure attack damage now coming in from Yomi, a 3,000 gold of stats, courtesy of the top lane. Thank you very much. Thank you also for the Baron that we have secured, thanks to that pick on the jungler.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Fenbach did not give that first upgrade to Yomi, he is just griefing his team at this point. But does the right thing, gives it to the right person. He gives it to the carry of this game. And
Half item carry.
yeah, Yomi is insanely strong at this point. He's a full item up on his counterpart right now, and despite Azure Fire having a good game for himself, he is 5-2-7. It is the CS gap that was the big factor in this, and Yomi getting that first turret gold for himself is a big factor here. He's up 3,000 gold. He's up 3k gold right now. So, but the big issue is everybody else on his team is down or even in gold, basically. Look at the mid gap. It's another 3k difference in favor of Paradigm Shift. So if Yomi still goes down in these team fights, I just think IG continues to win them, and that could be their avenue to win this game. They just have to look for the angles as Swaggy, Noble, and Paradigm to get onto this carry of Lucian, of Yomi.
Yeah, and that really is going to be the swing factor. You're right to point it out. Paradigm, the one with the gold for IG. He is really the swing factor if he can find the Shadow Surge onto the right target, onto the Lucian, especially for the couple of seconds that he's without this cleanse. Potential to really start swinging this game is there. He's able to steal a wolf away. Titan Duff is not allowed to farm those camps for free. Do love to see that over the wall, being a pest, trying to mitigate some of the damage dealt by losing that Baron, as Swaggy P also standing right in front of the Ornn. He doesn't give it down. Both of them tanky as hell, not close to falling. Rotation now coming over to the bot side. The wave is empowered. Nobleback is gonna have to run. The tower will fall within seconds, and there is no rotation over here. 5 players only met by 3. Tower gonna fall from a good macro play there from SG Proton.
Yeah, and the biggest issue that IG has with the draft this game is they have no wave clear in comparison to game number 1 where they had an abundance of it. So the Baron on SG is lethal this time. They can start getting so much of the standing gold on the map, start pushing their vision line forward with it, and start looking to try to close the book on this game. But, I mean, if they get caught in a bad
They're gonna go
position,
deep.
never mind.
They get the tier 2 turret and they're going to go deep on it. It's going to force the flash again. Swaggy P a little bit too far up when that tier 2 fell, and he is forced to run away as the rest of the play looks to unfold. No deeper will be the call. Fenback going to run away. No more towers going to go down. No more damage going to be traded over. But once more, the summoner lost is crucial, especially with Soul spawning in 50 seconds. No flash on a jungler is key.
Yeah, it's big that Swaggy P did lose his flash there, like you did said. It does let them, force more on the side of SG, and it can make it harder for IG to look to get these engages. But regardless of that, the dragon is spawning in 30 seconds. IG is going to have to look for a way to get in here to not give over another soul in this series over to SG, but SG is looking to get their engage before that is even an option. A nice fear from Paradigm there, not letting Titan Duff get the engage that he's looking for as they start to clear out this vision and look to secure themselves this Cloud Soul.
Yeah, the speed buff, not always preferred by all teams, but it is valued in ways that are not expressed by words. The chase down ability, the extra movement speed alone, when you ult, can sometimes change the course of fights. It's just expressed in a different way from what happens with something like Infernal Soul with the extra damage, with like a Hextech Soul. They're going to go in off that with now the extra movement speed. They're going to go in the other Paradigm Shift, a massive ult right off. Orianna has fallen instantly, but Yomi is there with the culling, able to turn the play around. Paradigm Shift went very, very deep to get that kill, and that is Sid Bloodlin as well. Gonna fall. Swaggy P goes to a 3-for-1 in the long play. Alf, a worthy sacrifice. First game, it was Titan Duff, who was just happy to fall for his team. This time, it is Alf 078, but he doesn't care because while the rest of IG are looking at him, they're not looking at Yomi. True carry.
Yeah, I do have bad news for you. Alf very much does care that he is being focused in every single team fight. He is molding. He's not very happy about this. But regardless of that,
they're going to win, though, if they keep doing this.
Going to pick up the series win here tonight. They're on these Nexus turrets looking for the end here. First one falls, second one falls. But
they're not going to get the end.
Recalled.
They're not going to get the end just yet. Noble Bark surviving with a slither, falls to the smite the second time today. We have seen a smite get a kill. Absolute cinema. One for each team. Fenback a little bit overextended the wave, looking to help him out. Azarek, he's one, but he aims for Titan Duff instead. They're going to escape with absolute slithers remaining on the health bar, and that's going to send Swaggy P over the edge. He went a little bit too deep. Paradigm Shift goes too far as well. The Shadow Surge finds its comeuppance in the end. 4 alive. See the Nexus pop for SG as they clean up a 20-20 kill score, but a 7k gold lead from the macro plays. 2-0 is your map score after week 1.
Yeah, and, I am right in my prediction of saying SG would get the 2-0 tonight. Really, really sloppy early game here out of SG in the second game. Looked like they were on the brink of kind of losing it, but able to clean it up enough to get back in this game, get themselves that 2-0 win in the first week here, and kind of surmount themselves as one of the teams to be feared coming into this BOL season, looking to get that championship for themselves. I think at points of this game, IG did look very good, but I feel like Noblebark on this Gwen was such a non-factor in this game, and that's not what you really expect when you are picking this carry top laner and just never really be able to be impactful in these team fights. Yomi positioned so well throughout this entire series and was able to, kind of reap the benefits of that. I think he ends the first week with like a 39.5 KDA.
I believe he's got 3 deaths overall. He had 1 in the first, 2 in the second.
He's
so
got 8.5 plus 31. They'll have to do the math. I'm not sure what it is.
I think adding them up is a little bit cheap for him, but overall still a great play, a great week coming in from Yomi. A 2-0, basically down to him. He was the carry in that game, but it is interesting to see Coming out of this series, how SG will also respond, because they've had multiple facets of their game exposed. In the first game, their late game came under massive question. Multiple times, throwing away objectives that did not need to be thrown away. The second game, the early game was super, super rough. And sure, they came through it fine in the mid game, but that is all down to individual plays. And those cannot be replicated as easy as the team plays can be. When you're working together as a team, it is so much more consistent. And those are the things you really look for when you're building the foundation to a season.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to agree, but I want to take a quick second to give a shout out to our sponsor of ProComps, our sponsor and game changer app for the League community. This isn't just like your other tools, it's your personal draft coach, perfect for both teams and solo players. In fact, you can pair with any other app you use. With ProComps, you'll receive real-time drafting advice with tailored champion picks and ban recommendations. It stands out with features such as the ability to generate champion pools in seconds that you can share with friends, post-draft guide to attack the game. You can generate comps based on your preferences. Coaches and analysts can even create personalized tier lists. The app has already over 280,000 downloads and 1,000 daily users like you. ProComps is user-friendly and totally free. It's a no-brainer to at least give it a go. Download ProComps now, and you'll experience a whole new level of drafting power in your league games. Go to procomps.gg, download it from Overwolf, or click the link in our bio. That was ProComps, our sponsor for Blue Otter League. But like you were saying, Rue, I mean, SG, they kind of were exposed in both those games, able to get themselves back into it. But I mean, if you had to give an MVP for this first series, who would you be giving it to?
I don't think there is any doubt in anyone's mind coming into this. I think you already know what I'm going to say. Yomi, absolutely insane performance in the first game. His only death secured himself a kill. How many people can you say that about? Sure, champs like Cogmore, they sometimes do that, but after that, he did not look back. 30 kill participation in that first one, and no slouch in the second. Most damage in both the games. I think that is a very clear MVP coming out of this series.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that one. It's Yomi hands down. I think the only other person I would debate on SG is Fenbach or Draconical, but I think Yomi was the reason that SG won both these games and is going to look to continue to build on that throughout the rest of the series. I think IG, they had strong points in the series. Maybe if they clean up some of those games, they would have been able to pick up one off of SG, maybe cause an upset to happen. But with how it played out, they're looking at a start of the season at 0-1 in a relatively difficult group that they do have for themselves.
Yeah. And 0-1 is never a position you want to be in, but there are still 6 more games to play in this regular season before we head into the playoffs. So plenty of time to kind of claw back some of that lost ground that they will have after today. Of course, all the rest of the teams to play, none of them are slouches, but you're going to have to find some sort of avenue somewhere to get back in if you want to get to playoffs. If you don't, then fair enough. I guess we can see your next split. So they got to pick it up after what we saw today. They had their chances, especially afforded them in that first game. So many opportunities provided them by their jungler in particular, but not enough to get it over the line. The stall really didn't have much of a chance. You're playing as a hyperscaling ADC. You're playing mages. You are just capped a little bit lower than he is. So in the end, stalling for not much reason. But when you have that many avenues back into the game, like just one more of them going their way could have sent us to at least a third map in this series. The second game was a little bit more out of hand, but yeah, overall, I think a fair result in totality. SG Proton did look to be superior. You called it coming in, and I think you're completely right in saying so. They just were the better team today.
Yeah, looking really good in the first week here. You know, definitely some stuff they should be improving on and look to improve on. But with that, we're going to be wrapping up our first week of the Blue Otter League Platinum Division. I want to thank Rue for stepping in and being my co-caster here today. I
All
want
good,
to thank
man.
Shivam for being behind the scenes and doing all the production. Always shout out them. And thank you all for sticking around and watching. Come back tomorrow. We will be having coverage of both Diamond and Gold League. I believe Gold will be on Blue Otter 2, and Diamond will be on the main channel of Blue Otter
I'll be
League.
there again.
Yeah, come back and check out Root tomorrow night, guys. But with that, I want to thank you all once again, and I hope you all have a great night and enjoyed our series here.
Join the